Thank you all for being here. We're going to bring to order the February 12th meeting of the Manatee County School Board. And the first thing is we're going to have the colors are presented this evening by the Southeast High School of JROTC, escorted by Lieutenant Colonel Retired John Hetherington, Senior Army Instruction. Will you all rise? They include members Cadet Colton Watson, Cadet Brianna Maddox, Cadet Carlos Guzman, and Cadet Breeze Wilson. Forward. Will you join me now in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Read colors. More words, art.
Okay. You may be seated.
I can still see the side and
But you gotta vote. Okay, so try using the same name as you on mine.
Okay.
Seems like there should be a light on the top of these mics if they're on.
Mr. Chair, board members, Superintendent Saunders, the, actually, could we turn around, let's turn around facing, just back up, just a little bit.
Okay.
I like the hat.
Y'all, Lori?
Cheryl, I love the hat. Her hat.
We're just getting organized. Okay. So the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading is a collaborative effort involving Manatee and Sarasota counties, foundations, nonprofit partners, businesses, and government agencies to ensure more economically challenged children succeed in school, graduate from college, and find a fulfilling career. They do this in unique and engaging ways. One very special way is what we're here to celebrate tonight. And to tell us more about it, the director of the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading, Beth Duda. Beth?
Thank you. Hi. Chairman Minor, school board members, Superintendent Saunders, thank you for this opportunity to represent the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading's Attendance Awareness Poster Contest and share with you the success of several of outstanding Manatee County students. The Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading is a 4-county effort now in Charlotte, DeSoto, Manatee, and Sarasota counties to help all children succeed in school by ensuring they can read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade. The School District of Manatee County, United Way Suncoast, the Early Learning Coalition of Manatee County Government, and the Manatee County Community Foundation, along with the Patterson Foundation, are the driving forces behind the campaign in our region. Part of a nationwide movement, we are focused on addressing the most common issues and obstacles that impact a child's academic success. One of our key areas of focus is improving school attendance. Superintendent Cynthia Saunders, Manatee County school principals and assistant principals, along with other school leaders, know from experience and common sense what research confirms. Showing up for class matters. Students can't benefit from high investments in high-quality education, more rigorous curriculum, unless they are in the classroom. As early as the first month of school, chronic absenteeism, missing 10% or more of school days, can be an early warning sign of academic trouble. By 6th grade, chronic absenteeism becomes a key predictor that a student will drop out of high school. We are so proud to work alongside Manatee County Schools as we all strive to improve attendance. This year, with funding from the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading and the Patterson Foundation, we held our 4th Attendance Awareness Poster Contest in Manatee County. Close to 50,000 students in our region created artwork with the important message, "Every day counts, strive for less than 5 days absent." 38 elementary schools in Manatee County participated in this poster contest, and the selected school winners will be honored along with their families March 9th at a spring training baseball game. Tonight, we honor the regional winners of the Attendance Awareness Poster Contest. Each one of these outstanding artists used their talents to share the Everyday Counts message, and each of them received an iPad in a ceremony just prior to this meeting. With great pleasure, I present to you our kindergarten winner, Jackson Klein from Myakka City Elementary School, accompanied by his principal, Kathy Price. Our first grade winner, Sophia Cryer from Anna Maria Elementary School, accompanied by her principal, Jackie Featherston. Our second grade winner, Sarai Castillo from Samoset Elementary School, accompanied by her principal, Mary Beth Mason, and the graduation enhancement technician from her school, Tawanda Means.
Yep.
Our third grade winner is Lily Wachowski from Gilbert W. McNeil Elementary School, accompanied by her principal, Cheryl McGrew. Our fourth grade winner, Abigail Vera from Virgil Mills Elementary School, accompanied by Samantha Leonard, her art teacher, and Mr. Menny's principal. And a young woman who has actually, this marks the third time she has been the regional winner in Manatee County for the poster contest. From fifth grade, Terra Elementary School, Miss Isabel Flores, with her principal, Laura Campbell, accompanied also by Mr. Gilmore. Thank you for allowing us to share these remarkable students with you. Okay.
Here's what we'd like to do, is that if you could get in the middle,
I can.
right here, I'm gonna ask you all three to move down this way just a little bit, so you're not behind the podium. All move down, okay. And then we're gonna get a. Y'all go ahead, I'll let you get it.
We are always so good looking. Here we go.
That young man has a super camera
Yeah.
there, huh?
Or could I ask you to move over just a little bit? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. By the way, we do have parents here, right? Yes. So if you can stand up.
Yay, parents.
Thank you.
Circus every year that the kids and the parents get to go to as part of their award. I don't remember hearing about it.
Thank you, Beth. It's good to see you. Where's my iPad, Mike?
I'll ask on the way.
How about?
Did they have the
Three times,
Did they have
Mike?
the circus this year?
When you win 3 times, I'll buy her old ones. Hey, Jim. Looking good, looking good.
How you doing? Thank you. You look great. Thank you. Yes, sir. Semper Fi.
All right, we have, if you could just stand right here facing the.
Okay. Parents.
Our next student celebration is very special. The 2019 Manatee Regional STEM Competition was held at Manatee Technical College on Monday, February 4th. More than 100 students, all of them school winners in their own right, took part in the competition at MTC that day. The awards ceremony of the regional competition was held last night at Manatee High School. One student earned the top award, Best in Show. That student is Emma Johnston, a student at Manatee High School. Emma won with an extensive project that is related to the Hardy-Weinberg equation and equilibrium studies. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Her win has earned Emma and her teacher, Patricia Zalo, a chance to compete at the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair in Phoenix, Arizona in May. So congratulations, Emma. Congratulations, Ms. Zalo. Could we have you say, you're a senior at Manatee High School, is that correct? Could you just say a few words about your project, if you could explain it to all of us? Or just say a few words, and then we'd also like to hear what your plans are following high school.
What?
So my project was I designed some computer models to test the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium principle, which is an important principle to biology, and I compared those computer programs to see which one was most accurate. And my plans after high school are I'm attending Bates College, which is in Maine. I'm planning to study biology and follow with genetics in graduate school. Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chair,
I'd like to have Ms. Zalo say a few words and just possibly about Emma and the experience of going through the awards.
Thank you. I do want to say something first, though. This is my 33rd year as teaching, and I was a product of Manatee High School. And I've been at Manatee High School all 33 years. I am retiring. Anyway.
No, please don't. Please don't.
No, it's time. She has been an absolute pleasure to teach. I've actually had the pleasure 3 times in honors biology, AP bio, and AP environmental this year. And she started working on this project in 10th grade and then took a break in junior year to really focus on her AP courses. And now she finished it up. And I am just so thrilled that she won this opportunity because she really does deserve it. She put in countless hours on this project, and I'm just so excited for her.
Great. We would like to invite the people up that helped Emma become so smart, and that is her parents. So.
So this is my mom, Barbara, and this is my dad, Steve. They're very good. They're great. They've helped me so much.
And she works at CB.
All right. So if we could have you all turn around in front of the podium here, and Emma, let's get you in the middle. Mom and Dad on this side, and then. Board members, I'm going to ask you again, if you could just move over, we'd like to get everybody centered just a little bit. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good.
Emma, before you go, and
Yeah.
Mom and Dad, Emma, before you go, I was sitting in the, Mr. Miner and Dr. Hopes and the superintendent were on stage passing out awards, and I kind of snuck in the back and was sitting in the back. And I texted your academic, I won't name him here, but I texted your academic team coach, because that's where I know you're from. And I said, hey, your girl Emma's here, is winning award after award after award. And he texted me back a minute later, and he said, in all the years I have been teaching, and it's probably getting close to 20 years now, Emma is one of the best 3 students he's ever had. So I just wanted to put you on the spot as long as you're in the room. So congratulations and good luck at Bates as well. Okay.
May I have a few comments here before you leave, too? When I went over to Manatee Technical College, where all of these great events were put on there, I was taken by this exhibit that I did not understand at all. And Emma was there with her mom And she came over and really did a great job of explaining it. I still don't understand it, but it was wonderful. You know, she's not only going to Phoenix, and I believe that all the cost involved with attending these fairs is at least paid and covered substantially in part by the Manatee Education Foundation, for which we're always grateful, and everybody deserves the support of everybody. But besides going to Phoenix, she's going to be representing this district, this school district, our community in Lakeland at the, what do we call it? The Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. So she's going to 2 fairs representing us, and I can't think of a better representative. And we wish you best of luck. And Mom and Dad, thanks for coming down here with her tonight. So thank you. And someday maybe I'll understand this. So, Okay, Mr. Barber, you're up for 5-Star School Awards
That's right.
recognitions.
The 5-Star School Award is a symbol of achievement presented each year by the Florida Department of Education to schools who exhibit exemplary community involvement and academic achievement. Here to tell us more is District Community Engagement Specialist Deborah Perry Gambino.
Good evening, Chairman Minor, Superintendent Saunders, and board members. This evening, it is my pleasure to present to you those schools who have achieved 5-star status for the 2017-18 school year. The 5-Star School Award is a symbol of achievement presented each year by the Florida DOE to those schools that have displayed exemplary community involvement in 5 specific areas: business partnerships, family involvement, volunteers, student, community service, and school advisory councils. Additionally, the last determining factor for award eligibility is that the school must receive a school grade of C or higher and provide a portfolio documenting the achievement of each criteria. I'd like to introduce 15 schools this evening who have achieved 5-star status last year, with 2 of the schools being recognized for the first time. This is a great accomplishment for them. So first of all, please welcome Principal Tammy Van Overbeek and Interventionist Donnie Hodge from Manatee Elementary.
Okay.
Would anyone like to come down and present the certificates?
Okay. Okay.
Manatee Elementary School.
Yeah, Mr. Kennedy.
Here we go. So Manatee Elementary, first year 5-star. Prine Elementary.
Oh, I got to do every single one?
Oh,
Wait, Brian, District 3, Mr. Minor, this is
Brian,
you. Come on down.
Principal Lynn Menard and Assistant Principal Scott Flynn. Achieving 5-star for the second year, it's my pleasure to introduce Palmetto Elementary, Principal Michelle Miller and Assistant Principal Melissa Porco. And also for the second year, Tara Elementary, Principal Laura Campbell. In addition, we have Stewart Elementary, Principal Joseph Hoagland and Assistant Principal Lisa Heathcote. We have Bashar Elementary, Principal Joshua Bennett and Assistant Principal Beth Marshall. Johnson Middle, Assistant Principal Bradford Bayedo. Freedom Elementary, Principal Guy Grimes and Michelle Danowski. I did not see them. They may have got stuck in traffic, so we'll have to present them, their certificates to them at another time. Gullett Elementary, Assistant Principal Tony Schreier. also Williams Elementary, Connie Dixon, and Assistant Principal Sheila Wade. We're supposed to be here. They had an emergency. Oh, right, okay. And then McNeil Elementary, Principal Cheryl McGrew, and Assistant Principal Carol Riggs. We need a bigger dais. Miller Elementary, Principal Scott Boyce, and Assistant Principal Kim Delio. We also have Witt Elementary, Principal David Marshall. And the last two schools I have to share with you have 18 years at 5-star status. So Braden River Elementary, Principal Haley Rio. And last of all, Wakeland Elementary, Principal Mario Mendoza. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you. Now, the penalty is, you have to have your picture taken.
Okay. I may have to go outside of the room. Okay. Yes. Debbie, why don't you move?
Say 5-star. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Good. See ya. Your file loaded, huh? Yeah, no, your file loaded. A bunch of us, it's not. It's stuck on 99%. Oh, well.
Oh, on the same camera, yeah, okay.
Yep.
You still have paper copies.
Say again. Okay, Mr.
All right.
Barber's going to also present the 18th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Essay and Speech Competition winners.
That's right.
Thank you.
It has become an honored tradition each year to bring the winners of the annual Martin Luther King Jr. Essay and Speech Contest to perform their speeches before the school board. It's part of the celebration of Black History Month, and this year, again, is the 18th year of this contest. Tonight, we are very happy to welcome as our middle school winner, Isabella Pasquale of Hale Middle School.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once uttered a very powerful statement that inspires me as well as many others. The time is always right to do what is right. This quote means that we, the citizens of the United States, have the control to make a difference. We have the power to act promptly as opposed to waiting for more unfortunate events to occur and pressure our government officials to do what is right. Many Americans have followed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s idea and have set a great example for other citizens by showing that today is the right time to do what is right. Recently, many unfortunate events have occurred throughout our country that have caused many citizens to take a stand for what they believe is right. An example is the Parkland, Florida school shooting. Several students and parents from the school have acted to enforce gun control and fought for increased school safety measures across our nation. These individuals could have chosen to remain silent and grieved over this terrible situation. Instead, they pushed our government to create a law to prevent situations similar to this one from happening once more. The high school students who survived this unfortunate event wrote an editorial shortly after the shooting to propose laws against firearms. That was the right time to do what was right. Because of these courageous survivors, thousands of students across the nation have participated in a walkout to stand against guns and show their support for the Parkland shooting victims. These Parkland students have greatly impacted our country and have turned a tragedy into an action plan. This is just one of the many examples in our history of what we can do as citizens of the United States to make a positive change in our world. Anyone can create an editorial or write a letter to our government officials to cause a change and make a difference. Unfortunately, many people are unaware of this opportunity, or they feel as though it is not their place to act. Any ordinary person can make a change in our world in an extraordinary way. Dr. King's statement serves as a reminder, as well as an inspiration to citizens, that anyone and everyone can make a positive impact within our society. The powerful phrase, and I quote, "The time is always right to do what is right," unquote, relays an influential message. When you see an injustice, Dr. King encouraged us to act promptly so that we can make a change in our community. We must embrace this idea of change today and every day to improve our society. The difference only takes one person who is strong and willing to take a stand for justice and righteousness. Dr. King's statement can mean several things to each individual. To me, this phrase means that we should take every chance we get to make a change in our world, and the time is always right to do so. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to teach us that every moment is the right time to act, and we must make a difference in our world. The world we live in is only as good as we make it. No moment nor opportunity should be wasted when it comes to standing up and speaking out in order to bring about positive changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. I'd like to mention that Isabella is joined by her mother and Hale Middle Principal Kate Barlog here tonight. So, now the high school winner, Renaya Kelly of Bayshore High School.
Okay.
Can you imagine? 54 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said to a group of students, "The time is always right to do what is right." Today, we are constantly faced with false hope, deserted promises, and much arrogance from many of our elected officials right here in Manatee County and as well throughout our nation. We watch the news on television, we read the newspaper, all with the intentions of learning about news going on around us. How can we as young people be intellectual about news that may not be true? In the United States, we are supposed to be one nation, under God, indivisible. But I just can't seem to grasp visually how the United States is one nation. After 2 years in office, I'm certain that many of you will agree with me that our president seems to have little to no moral compassion for our nation or its citizens. From my observation, our president's belief seems to separate our nation, such as issues affecting women, Hispanics, and government assistance programs that do not agree with his beliefs. As United States citizens, we need to be educated when it comes to knowing our rights. We use these rights in our everyday lives. In fact, we utilize these rights when we vote for these elected officials. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote, "The time is always right to do what is right," unquote. Across our nation, we have people who are poverty-stricken, living in or on some form of government assistance programs. We have people surviving from living in or on government assistance programs. But the disturbing issue here is that an immense amount of people are homeless. Some of them sleep on the streets. Some of them sleep in shelters. And some of them are even children. But focusing on the immediate nexus of this nation, we are a democratic republic union. Therefore, democracy does not discriminate against preferences or party affiliation. The key role of our representatives in a democracy is to participate in the public life. In life, there is no greater pursuit than an equal voice. Express your beliefs, express your ideas, express your opinion. It is your right that is right. Gratified by Dr. Martin Luther King, the time is always right to do what is right. Great things are done by a series of small things brought together, according to Vincent van Gogh. And if we want to ensure that the individuals entrusted to represent us embrace this concept, we must be mindful. We must be ready if we are to ever come together as one nation. Thank you.
Isabella, that's for you too.
Yes.
Orator.
Renaya is joined by her mother, grandmother, and two brothers, I believe. One brother and a cousin. Okay. Also by her principal, Wendell Butler, who's in the back of the room.
Come on, Wendell.
I'm going to ask them to all come forward, if you would. Could you all come forward right now? Even mom and the principals? And y'all come forward too.
The whole fam's got to come up.
Stand here if you could. Some of you come over on this side. And let's face the school board. We're not going to get a photo right now. We have a proclamation. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
going to do the conference.
Right.
It's nice to stretch.
Since 1926, Americans have set aside a period of time to celebrate the momentous contributions and achievements of Black Americans. Since 1976, February has officially been designated as Black History Month, and it has become a cherished part of the School District of Manatee County's calendar. This year, we are proud to have School Board member Reverend James Golden read the School Board proclamation.
Your mic.
Can I come stand next to you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah.
Proclamation. Whereas the month of February is set aside each year to honor, celebrate, and remember the struggles, achievements, sacrifices, and contributions Black Americans have made on behalf of the United States of America and the world. And whereas the honoring of Black history in America dates back to 1926 and is now recognized and remembered with month-long celebrations in other countries, including Canada and the United Kingdom. And whereas Black or African American citizens have made rich and vibrant contributions to the history and culture of the state of Florida and to Manatee County, even in the face of ineffable discrimination and prejudice. And whereas Black educators have played a prominent role in the history of education in Manatee County, serving in every capacity, from bus driver to teacher to principal to superintendent to school board chair. And whereas we are dedicated to the teaching and commemorating of the proud legacy that Black History Month represents, now therefore be it proclaimed by the school board of Manatee County that the month of February 2019 shall be known, designated, and set aside as Black History Month, adopted with the quorum present and voting this 12th day of February 2019. School Board of Manatee County, Florida. Dave Watchdog Minor, Chair. Cynthia Saunders, Superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Very nice. Yeah.
I'm going to go back up there with my colleagues. Is that all right? Or do you want me to stand by you? You can go back up there? Okay.
Can I ask the group in front of the podium to move over this way? Yeah, don't move over, get centered. Okay. It's hard to believe Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dennis.
We're gonna take voice votes tonight, okay? So rather than voting on that, we're gonna take voice votes. Okay? And I'll record it. I'm not sure if you can see them or not, so there they are.
I can see all the stuff on the side, I just can't see the description of documents.
Okay.
You know, like this, but then it doesn't.
You have to
because
log
it's-
in. Well,
I was gonna say, because it's an ongoing meeting. it
She was like a little
doesn't-
midget last time I saw her, now she's in middle school.
no, that's not right. You should still be able to. Do you have any, I wonder if you have any handwriting problems on the wires that you should have.
It is what it is. That's
You
fine.
and Dr. Holmes do this.
Do we have to restart? Should we restart?
I don't think it's fixable.
Oh, gotcha, okay,
I'm kidding.
okay.
Okay, the next part of our agenda is devoted to presentations, or excuse me, I should say. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on the February 12, 2019 agenda, updated February 12, 2019, and posted to the district website. Do we hear a motion to approve the agenda amendments?
So moved.
So moved by Board Member Kennedy. Okay.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Hopes. Any discussion? Hearing none, the board calls, or the chair calls the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. This brings us to Central Florida, excuse me.
Okay, he's going to the Central Florida now? Okay. That's fine, go ahead.
Okay. All right, we have a great director here, and I've learned that it's good to pay attention to what she has to say. The next item of business is a report from the Central Florida Public School Board Coalition. As I have said before, this district has the privilege of serving and being part of the Central Florida Public School Board Coalition, which consists of 14 school districts from the Gulf to the Atlantic, and includes the families of over 1 million students. It includes larger districts like Orange, where Orlando is, Hillsborough, where Tampa is. We're kind of a medium-sized member of that district. And I have the privilege of going up there once a month to Orlando and participating in workshops and discussions that occurred. One of the things that we had was attempting to deal with, student conduct, student bullying, what we're doing with respect to the loss of many students because of mental problems, the treatment of students, sometimes because of how they perceive themselves or how we perceive them. And we had a seminar that was titled Ensuring the Resiliency of All Our Youth. And it was put on by Ian Silgenson, coordinator of Central Florida Safe and Healthy Schools. And I revealed my ignorance at this seminar when I was asked what percentage of students have been polled to find out if their gender ideation. And I was asked, and I said, well, maybe 15%, something like that. And it was much greater than that. And the effect of that is that this group of people that their gender orientation or their gender preference is a group that's much higher pronounced in being subject to bullying, violence, and how we deal with that is something that I really do not know much about. But this fellow part of this group talked about the importance of identifying students like that and providing counseling and having the resources available. that was one of them. We had also, talking to us, a consultant regarding insurance. Now, insurance plays a really important part in the management of every school district. We have all sorts of insurance, be it liability insurance, workers' comp insurance, property insurance, and medical insurance, different forms of medical insurance that are provided to, made available to our employees. And been on the board now for 6 years, have come to school board meetings probably for 20 years, and I like to think I know something about it. What I learned at this seminar was I knew very little about it. I think that this lady, Andra Henn Sr., who's Vice President of Client Strategies and Resource Development with a firm called Highland, pointed out the importance that, I should learn more about it, and I think that, sometime soon, we'd have a board seminar, talking about how we can better advantage insurance products, for our community and for our employees. We also had a presentation from Rodney Williams, Director of Parks and Recreation, for talking about involving, community parks in our schools, and I think we do, to a pretty good extent here in Manatee County. What I'm bringing back is that I think that it's worthwhile, for us to recognize that while Manatee County is foremost in our thoughts, being involved with other counties in trying to maximize, what we do with what our money is to, converse with, be part of what's going on in other school districts in our region. One thing where we get a real good deal is that at these meetings, we have lobbyists, from other school districts who bring us up to date on what's going on in committees, in the legislature, different policies and legislation that's being considered. And and they ask our thoughts and input regarding it. One of the issues that we're all concerned about is money, getting enough money to properly run the school district, and asking our legislature to be responsible about when they have mandates. I think we're familiar with the term unfunded mandates, which is seems to be the motto for our friends in the legislature. One of the things is about mandating security, but not providing all the money that is necessary to provide the level of security for us. Another is in the level of transportation. Transportation and our busing involves a lot of money. And I'm just going to kind of read from you when the expenses that we had last year in Manatee County for busing was $15,285,588. A lot of money, right? And I think most people think, well, the state just provides that money for you to pay for that cost. Well, it doesn't. This past year, it didn't provide even half of that cost. So where does that money come from? It comes from, other resources that people might argue, well, that should go into the classroom. I think everybody would say here that the primary focus is the classroom, but when the state says, and it's not just voluntary, the state says you're going to have to provide this busing, and they don't even provide half the funds, a lot of people don't think that's fair, and that includes me. The deficit is $7,576,483, the difference between what they say we're supposed to do and what the cost. Now, the bad news is there's legislation that is pending to say, well, we're supposed to bus even more to reduce, instead of everybody within, outside of 2 mile limits, well, outside of 1.5 miles. And is there anything accompanying this legislation that says we're going to provide you the money for the extra? Well, they don't. Now, that hasn't passed, but I'm kind of pointing that out as an example of why it's very important for we as a district to be involved with these discussions, both on a district basis, but regionally with others, to say, listen, public education is important to our democracy, to our communities, and legislatures. We don't want you to go out and say you're doing a great thing if you're not willing to pay for it. That's in summary, and thank you very much for the privilege of representing all of you in Orlando with the Central Florida Public School Board Coalition. Thank you. Now, the next thing on our agenda concerns an update for school security press conference, and Board Member Hopes is going to bring us up to date on what occurred there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday morning, we held a press conference in advance of the anniversary of the tragedy in Parkland, Florida. It was a very well-organized press conference, Mr. Chair, probably the best I have seen the district deliver. And congratulations to Mr. Barber and Superintendent Saunders. We were joined by all of our law enforcement partners, as well as the city council member, Gene Brown from the city of Bradenton. The sheriff was there. We had two of our guardians were there, the administrative leadership of the district, and it was probably the most well-attended from the media outlets. We held it in front of Manatee High School, and we updated the community on how far this district has come with regards to hardening our schools, improve security from a human resource perspective with our law enforcement partners and our guardians. If any of you did not see the various news reports, I'm sure they are online across the media outlets. But as you will see in that press conference, as attested to by each of our law enforcement partners who gave a presentation on various aspects of where the district is today with regards to safety and security and access to mental health services, I encourage you to take the time to view it. And again, commend my board partners, as we were one of the first districts to take action, and the administration for ensuring that the work was done, it was completed, and we're well on our way to being in absolute full compliance with the legislative mandates. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Hopes. Next, we're going to have a report on an update on the Florida School Board Association Finance Forum that was recently held in Central Florida from Board Member Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I went to the 2019 School Finance Forum, and I'm back.
Excellent update.
I wish it was that easy. Florida's educational funding is through the Florida Educational Finance Program, the FEFP. And simply put, or probably as simply as I understand it, there are what is described as full-time equivalents, accounting for 180 days for a student, each one. But they get weighted. And the weighted full-time equivalents have 10 different categories in which we calculate how valuable or how much money we spend for a student, 10 of those. And it doesn't end there, because that simply gets us to a base calculation or a base allocation for each student. What I found out is that the base allocation is less than half of the dollars that go toward educating one child in Manatee County. They are what they call categoricals, but It's 17 different buckets that you get to take some money out of, or that you don't get to take money out of, depending on the size of your county, depending upon the economics, depending upon the tax base. There are all kinds of variables that are designed supposedly to make all 67 counties equal, but that are far from it, because each county is literally distinct and unique in and of itself. The long story short is that when you come to calculating the budget for your school year, you already start out behind the 8 ball because you're using last year's estimates to come up with next year's needs. And you're doing that in the midst of a state process that gives you 4 different numbers to work with. Anybody as confused as I am yet? And so what you really wind up trying to do is to prepare a budget that goes into effect in July based upon, that you started preparing in January, based upon what the legislature won't even start doing this year until March. It gets to be 3 things, and then I'll be through. 1, it gets to be a very convoluted process. It's very convoluted because those 17 buckets change in amounts based upon who the legislators are, which political party is in power, whether or not your county is on the East Coast or West Coast, whether you had a hurricane last year or not. All kinds of things go into determining whether you get to take money out of a categorical pot, and there's 17 of them. And by the way, if you miss, you don't get to go back. You don't get to go back and recalibrate. You don't get to go back and calculate. So it's a convoluted process. I'm not going to say that it's designed to minimize state funding, but that in effect is what it does. And it requires the state then to appreciate, or requires us to appreciate, not only is it convoluted, but it's bifurcated. We have funding that comes from the state, but most of the funding comes from here. We raise it with our sales tax, we raise it with our property taxes, and now we've been blessed in Manatee County to raise it with an increase in the millage from last year for the next 4 years. So I can tell you, those 17 pots that we were able to go in, the right hand giveth and the left hand taketh away. So we have the millage money that we are able to use for the purposes that it was set aside for, but it's going to be more difficult to get into those 17 pots of money to keep up our funding. Last but not least, I wish I could tell you we had a choice in all of this, but as has been alluded to earlier, the funding program is mandated. I don't get to decide up here whether or not to take the state's money, even though the state gets to decide whether or not they're going to take federal money. I don't get to decide here whether or not I'm going to spend the money on all public schools and no charter schools. The state requires me to discuss and to deal with charter schools at this level, even though there are some politicians trying to change that as we speak. And so a lot of what we are able to do up here is limited by the unfunded mandates placed upon us by the state in an effort to make all 67 counties equal, which is an impossible task when you start out all on the same page, all using the same fiscal year, all using the same calculations, which we don't. I will tell you this, because I found out that our county, in the third quarter calculations for last year, one of the numbers that you're bound by is how many students you are off in your projections, because all of this is based on student projections. And one of the numbers you have to live with is the mistake that you make with respect to the number of students that you believe are going to be coming into your district. Manatee County had a differential between what really was and what we projected of 38 students.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing, and that is fantastic. That is a testament to the work that we do in this county in terms of trying to estimate the needs that we're going to have to meet for all of the students in this county. So the superintendent that we had for this last 6 months or 7 months put that together, and that's what we're going to have to live or die with during this coming year. Some of the counties were off 10, 12, 15, 20%. And you can't imagine what that does to your budget when you have miscalculated that number of students that you have to serve. It impacts teachers, it impacts the operational needs of the district, it impacts the lunchroom, it impacts everybody across the board. And so I'm glad that I was able to go. I still think I know a lot, but when you go to stuff like this, it humbles you. I want to tell you, this is not cake and ice cream. This is serious business, and I appreciate being able to be a part of this and being involved. And I thank you, Mr. Chair, for letting me make this report.
Thank you, Board Member Golden, for a great report and for going to this seminar and sharing, with us and the community how complicated financing of education in Florida is and how we're doing pretty well in doing it as far as the school district goes. And that's a tribute to our staff and the superintendent. The next item is public comments. I'm going to turn it over to our Vice Chair, Messenger.
If you would mind, could I borrow those 2 pages that gives the policy?
Our
Because my
computers
computer's
are-
not working.
But
And I don't have it, I always
I'm
use my
sorry.
computer, so I don't have it in written form.
I think our computers are the only ones that, I mean, he's got
Yeah,
materials on
the
his.
people,
You
I
want me
guess,
to-
have it in written form versus the computer, maybe.
yeah, you
but
want me
I
to read it
can't.
for you?
You have that green bar too?
Yeah.
I've
So I'd
rebooted
like
like
to
4
read it, but I
times. so-
cannot read the
You want me to read it for you?
policy. I'd like to read the policy before I call people.
You want me to read it for you?
Good.
I've got it here.
Board Member Golden.
Will you read it how you read the proclamation? Because then I'm kind of sold. You did.
Yeah, you might get the point across.
I might be more than, I'd be more than happy to.
Better go for it, please.
Okay, let's just see here. Now, if I can make this computer work to where I can get to it. I know it's, oh, here it is, okay. All right, public comment. I declare.
You can read it from here.
Well, now you
Right
offered,
here.
so.
Oh, I got it.
Public
Okay.
comment is, and that goes
Okay.
on the back page.
After this, we'll take up an offering.
That was good. That was really good.
Public comment is not an open forum to discuss matters unrelated to education, to support or oppose candidates for public office, or to engage in commercial speech attempting to sell a service or product to the school board or the public. Also, public comment is not a forum to attack individual school system employees or board members. Any such complaints should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Finally, this is not a forum for addressing issues involving individual students. Because of privacy concerns, such issues should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board. This is a business meeting of the school board, and the public expects that we conduct it in an orderly, efficient, effective, and dignified manner. We request that speakers keep this in mind when making your comments. We also request that the audience keep that in mind and not demonstrate approval or disapproval of what a speaker has said by clapping or booing. The board appreciates the public's input and will listen attentively, consider each comment, and usually will not respond, enter into debate, or answer questions during comments on agenda items or during the public comments section.
We're going to have a table set up when you leave. We take cash, checks, and credit cards made out to the Manatee Education Foundation, the Reverend Golden Fund for education.
No, early reading.
Early reading.
Early reading. Early reading. Early reading.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And first up will be Jamie
Nice job.
Serino, and after Mr. Serino will be Mike Rio.
Well, thank you, Chairman Minor and the board. I was just here a few weeks ago. I'm the executive director, Jamie Cerno of Take Stock in Children, a nonprofit organization. We presented 33 students just a few weeks ago, and that adds to our already 380 students that we have in middle school, high school, and college. And I've only been here 18 months. It's been an honor really to serve in this role, and it's really become really apparent to me that the support that the board and the school district and what we do for the children really wouldn't be possible without your support. Now, those 33 students, as I said, added to our 380, and they truly are beacons of hope for our community. And again, without the support, we supply, from the students to their families to their future in our community, really wouldn't be possible with our partnership. So really, I'm only here to thank you and really show our gratitude from the entire Take Stock family to Superintendent Saunders and her predecessor and all of you. And it really wouldn't be possible without you. So I'm here to thank you. And from all of our scholars and all the families that we represent, we appreciate our partnership and thank you for the great work and the dedication that you have to education. Thank you very much, and
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Mike Rio, and after Mike Rio, Mr. Gibolina.
This is the most exciting board meeting I've been to. I felt like I was in church for a second. And then Willie slapped me and he said, "Want to know this is a board meeting?" Good evening, Chairman Minor, Superintendent Saunders, and honored board members. My name is Mike Rio, and I'm in my 35th year as an educator and leader in Manatee County. I've also spent many years coaching and serving in youth ministry. I've lived in Manatee County my whole life, and I'm thankful to be a part of such a great school system that has given me and my children a quality educational opportunity. And I tell you these things because I want you to know I'm not a sellout when it comes to my kids in this county. I've worked with many hundreds of kids in different capacities. And I know, Ms. Harvey, you call them your babies. I call them my kids. And I've devoted my life to that. And I come here tonight with two goals. And the first goal, as I shared earlier, is to respectfully ask the board not to allow the public to attack our superintendent or anyone else during board comment.
Part of our policy is not to have any clapping or booing.
Thank you.
It's okay.
This
If you listened to the Reverend's speech.
Now you know what it feels like on Sunday.
All right.
I apologize, Mr. Reed. Keep going. Okay.
This has happened on several occasions, and it's time to end this disrespectful practice and require participants to abide by the rules. My second goal tonight is to influence you to offer our superintendent an extended 2.5-year contract. I do believe for such a time like this that she is the leader needed to continue to move our Manatee County School District forward. Author and speaker John Maxwell said that leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And I've been blessed to work with some of the best and most influential superintendents in Manatee County, such as Gene Witt, Dan Nolan, Roger Deering, Tim McGonigal, yes, he was a great superintendent, Diana Green, and now Cynthia Saunders. There are three characteristics that have been evident in all of these leaders. The first was faith in God, secondly, character, and third, competence. I have watched each one of these leaders use their character to make hard and sometimes unpopular decisions. I've watched each one of these leaders make mistakes and own them, and not only own them, but take public attacks from critics and the press. Great leaders are not perfect, but they're resilient. Another characteristic of these great leaders was their competence. Each one mentioned had great strengths, and they also had weaknesses, as all men do. I've had the privilege to serve as an administrator in our school for 25 years, and I'm currently in my third year as a district-level administrator. I can honestly tell you what I thought I knew, I didn't know at all. I learned that you should never judge another man until you've walked in their shoes. After working closely with Ms. Saunders, I can honestly tell you she is one of the hardest working superintendents I've ever worked with. She is also brilliant and a problem solver. I'm constantly amazed by how much she knows about every facet of running a school district. Of all the great superintendents I've worked for, she is one of the best. My pastor constantly tells me, for such a time like this, God has placed me in a position of leadership. As our district faces the new ERP system, still presenting challenges,
Thank you.
safety issues.
Thank you.
I know we took some of your,
I know.
but I think they paused it.
Did y'all pause? Okay, well, I just want to encourage you to act upon your influence and make the right choice for our kids in
Thank
Manatee
you.
County. Thank you.
Mr. Gibolina, and after Mr. Gibolina, Miss Tracy Kundrat.
Good evening, Superintendent and board members. My name is Glenn Gibolina, community activist. So, a couple issues I want to hit. Good to see most of you there last night at Bayshore. I'm sorry, at Palmetto. So, can everybody read this?
I get the gist.
Okay, no cell phones. That's outside the classroom. What is the policy for cell phones? It is an absolute disaster. I spend much of my time babysitting seniors to unplug their cell phones, get the earpads out, and what is the school policy? There was a study done by Bellin and Murphy and found out that the band produced improvements in test scores among students with the lowest achieving students. We found not only did the student achievement improve, but the lower achieving and low-income students gained the most. We found the impact of banning cell phones for these students was equivalent to an additional hour a week in school, increasing it to by 5 days. Ban phones, folks. You need to send in other students into these classrooms. You need to show up unannounced, and you need to watch the videos. We're paying teachers 100%. They deserve it. The citizens and the taxpayers are being shortchanged by only doing 75% because the other 25% is babysitting seniors and juniors and schools telling their cell phones, and it's right there. Don't do it. Sarasota has a ban on it. There's no consequences for the 5th time you tell them, put your electronic device away. There are no consequences. You need to stand your ground on this policy, and when you get 1 or 2 students that are disruptors in the classroom, it affects the education of the other students in that classroom. And I'm sick and tired of it. The other thing is teacher's aid. I mean, you've got a technical class, can't be in 2 places at one time. You can't give a test in one room and have them run the carpentry shop in another. It's just physically impossible, and everyone suffers. The other thing I want to bring up is Palmetto High School, retroactive. Mr. Minor, you left early, and so did you, Superintendent. But the point is, they have been teaching, and my daughter goes there. She's a senior. That school has been treated like a second-class citizen for 20 years. You need to make everything that you promised Palmetto High School retroactive. And I'm going to ask to see the budget and the promises that were made in the past to that school. And I expect this board to step up to the plate and honor those past promises.
Thank you. Before you step away, Mr. Gibelline, I have one question.
Yes.
I had an understanding that you had signed up for two
5,
other, okay, so I have you down for public comment.
right? Future
I have you
agenda
down
item,
for consent agenda,
right?
and then I do not.
Non-consent.
Okay, and do you know which items that they
Sure
were?
do.
I just wanna
New
make sure
new
that-
business, non-consent 12C. New business, item 3, number 4241.
Okay, number 3 is the superintendent contract.
That's correct.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry, what was the other ones you said?
The other one is is on the consent agenda, number 5.
Okay, I have you down as consent agenda, and for all consent agenda items, you can only speak one time. So, you will.
No,
Is that-
you have to bring up each issue, and I can talk on each issue.
Yeah, oh, yes, but it's all in the one period.
Well, you have non-consent and consent.
Agreed. I'm just trying to make sure I have you down for everything. I have you down for consent, and I have you down for the superintendent's contract. Is there anything else that you had? Because there are other new business items. I didn't.
New business, 12C. I signed up for it.
12C.
It's the food budget,
That is also consent.
right.
So that's all.
New
consent.
business, non-consent. That's where I read it from. I
That
could
is
be wrong.
consent.
So I will wait my turn until those each items are called, and I'll come back. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had you written down for everything, because I was told that there were certain things you signed up for, and I didn't have it on my list, and I want to make sure I had you.
Okay, we're good to go.
All right, thank you. And next will be Tracy Kundrat, and then Mr. Nelson.
Hello, my name is Tracy Condrat, and I am a parent to 3 children in the Manatee County School District. We moved here 4 years ago, and I will be the first to admit that we picked this district based on the schools. However, hindsight is 2020, and had my husband and I known how and at what expense and whose those grades came at, we would have made different choices. I do not suppose to know the workings of the board or the district. There are things I do know. I know my kids are more than one test grade, given once a year, and under such duress as to cause emotional anxiety, emotional upheaval, physical illness, and genuine concern for their school future should they not perform well. I know my kids take honors and advanced classes and maintain grades far above the average, but are at the mercy of one test that will dictate whether they can continue with those honors and advanced classes in the next year. Tests should reinforce the breadth and depth of knowledge and not be the focus of the day. Tests should inform teachers on how to tailor instructions, not be used to rank and fire teachers. Tests should be a part of a portfolio of a student, not the end-all be-all of what the kids need to know from opportunity action. I know there are students who have additional support in the classroom and then are told to take a test without any support. I know that most jobs and careers don't measure performance on a single day, yet that is exactly what this district is doing to our students and our teachers. I know there are amazing teachers in this district that make valuable strides every day in their classrooms, but you may not know that because all you see is one test, not the 180 days of hard work. I know that this board made promises to the parents, the students, and the teachers in this district that it hasn't followed through on. I know that in any workplace, you want the best candidate for the job, and that takes time to find, vet, interview, and hire, and it seems the board doesn't want to take the time to do this. I have read things that cause me worry and make me fearful for the direction of this district. I know I voted for members of this board because they were promising to keep the best interest of the students at the forefront, and they said they would conduct a national search for a new superintendent, which at this point hasn't been done. I teach my children that when you say you are going to do something, you do it. I teach my children integrity matters. I teach my children that doing the right thing isn't easy, and the easy way is seldom the right way. I know that doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. I ask the board, for the sake of my kids, your neighbors' kids, to stop the insanity, take a stand, make a change, follow through on your promises. Find a leader who puts the children and teachers first, not data and tests. People with good intentions make promises, but people with good character keep them. Which are you? Thank you.
Mr. Nelson, and after Mr. Nelson, Mr. Jones.
Good evening, Chairman Minor and fellow board members. I wasn't going to speak until I attended your session this afternoon. Because I was listening to all the discussions, which I've listened to many times of you five people, or five people that are sitting in your chairs, in a lot of discussion. Well, the first thing that came to my mind was a reminder of where I was yesterday. That was at Oneco, the pre-K. I have 4 kids for Monday and Wednesday. So I get a book. School gives me a packet and gives me about 3 books to read with 2 kids. I got 2 boys. Says, okay, which one are you going to read from? Mine, 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 mine. I let that go at one time for 15 minutes before I finally said, let's do this. I try to give them a choice, so disappoint all the time. That's what you reminded me of today when you talked about success of other contracts. It's my contract. No, it's my contract. It's my contract. It's my contract. If you don't believe me, it's your contract. You don't get any agreement. But the same group, I have 2 other kids. Guess what? They solved the problem, girl and a boy. They use rock, paper, scissors. Whoever loses, the other one wins. Read his book first. And that's what your session reminded me of argument before a couple of people for my game. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, and after Mr. Jones, Mr. McCarthy.
Greetings, Chairman Minor, board members, Ms. Saunders, and staff. It's kind of like a merry-go-round here, not a very pleasant one as well. I can only say that I'm most disappointed in our board in the entire handling of this process, to the point where the process actually seems corrupt. Not only to myself, but many people in the school district. I've heard people. I can stand up here and say that Ms. Saunders has been called a bully and not get yelled at by watchdog minor and not getting threatened to leave, escorted from the meeting, because it's true. And everyone up here knows it's true. Every board member has heard that at a high level from a high number of staff members in the district, that she's a bully and she intimidates and she rules by fear. And we sit back and we allow that to happen. We just found out late that 121 of our most vulnerable students, most of them from Horizons, I've asked for the demographics from the district, are black, probably black, Hispanic, and poor. We allowed them to be placed out of school without the right consents, without the right paperwork. We're checking now to see how many of those kids had IEPs and what's the ramifications of that, because I believe that's a civil rights violation if that has occurred. And the board sits back and does nothing. We were promised a search. We haven't even had an advertisement. You've had plenty of time. We on the December 11th workshop, you can hear board members kicking it back and forth and making jokes about not wanting to have to deal with this during their election season in front of the public, and we allowed it. Mr. Hope's reasoning, saying that Dr. Green, the trusted mentor, told her to do these things and she did them, that shows a lack of leadership to me. I'm a leader. Nobody pushes me to do anything unless I think it's the right thing to do. You don't push me out to break the law and do things to children because your mentor told you. That doesn't show leadership. So just a complete disappointment in this board. I mean, you guys are going to go down in history as being one of the most inept boards that I think we ever had. If you don't do the right thing, we're just simply asking you to do the right thing. We're not asking you to play favoritism. We're not asking you to do anything. Just do the right thing. And it's really a sad day for the school district of Manatee County.
Mr. McCarthy, come on down.
Thank you, Mr. McCarthy.
Good evening, Board Chair Minor, Vice Chair Messenger, board members, superintendent. My name is Evan McCarthy. I am a current school district employee. I work as the senior statistical data analyst for our entire instructional side of the school district. Been doing that for a couple years now, and so the superintendent and I have had a bit of friendly competition and rivalry going on for the last 3 years or so to see who can more accurately predict the letter grades of schools before the state releases their results. We usually agree on most of them, but there are always a few schools whose mid-year data just doesn't quite match their state test results for some reason or other. And Superintendent Saunders still actually manages to predict them accurately every single year. You see the big difference between Ms. Saunders and myself is that she knows every single school in this district, inside and out. She doesn't just know the data. She's not just looking at attendance and test results like I am. She knows the principals, the assistant principals, and the teachers behind that data at all of our schools. And it shows too. So if you look at some of the data I just handed you guys, I pulled all this down from the state's FLDOE website just yesterday. The state first started publishing district grades back in 2004. Since then, Manatee County's district grade has ranked in the top half of districts statewide only 2 times. The first year back in 2004 and last year, 2017-2018. Of the 11 components the state currently uses to evaluate our school districts in the district grade system, every single one of those 11 components has gone up over the past 3 years. There are 67 county districts in this state. Do you know how many of them have actually managed that? Only 12. Of those 12, do you know how many of them have also managed to raise their overall school grade or district grade score? That number is even smaller. It's only 9 districts in the state. We're not just making progress at the district level either. 4 years ago, only 67% of our schools in our district received a school grade of a C or higher. Last year, that number went up to 87%. If we look at our Title I schools, 4 years ago, only 26% of them received a school grade of a C or higher. Last year, 68% of them did. Would you rather get on a plane flown by a pilot with 400 hours in a simulator, or a plane flown by a pilot with 200 hours in the simulator and over 12,000 hours of actual flight time they've put in over the last several years? We already have our pilot. This school district isn't a reality TV show like Siesta Key or The Apprentice. We don't need the theatrics of a national search. We just need to get back to work moving this district forward and upward. Thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
And that concludes public comment.
Next item on our agenda is consent items. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Approval of minutes.
Okay. What are we? Okay, yeah, approval of the minutes. Forgive me. Does the superintendent have a recommendation concerning the minutes?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the minutes for January 22nd, 2019, school board workshop and regular meeting, February 1, 2019, board member one-on-one meeting.
So moved.
A second.
Is there any discussion? The chair, hearing none, will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes unanimously. We're still not working electronically over there.
Correct, but we're recording them, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what you all been waiting for, consent items. Is there a recommendation from the superintendent concerning the consent items?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the consent agenda for February 12th, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, moved by Board Member Hope, seconded by Board Member Kennedy. Is there discussion? The chair
Public
hearing.
comment. Public comment.
Is there public comment? Okay.
Mr. Jubilina.
Hello again, Glenn Jubilina for the record. Consent item. So, as I was going through this, and I just took one out of what we had here. So let's just look at number 5. This is a renewal to clean the gutters, and it starts next year or this year. And here's what it says. Contract renewal from the 27th to 2/20. Conflict of terms, warranty of authority, equal employment opportunity, anti-discrimination clause, minority, small, and women-owned business clause, the Davis-Bacon Act Amendment Clause, Contract to Work for Hours and Safety Standards Act, the rights to inventions made under the contract or agreement, Clean Air Act 42 U.S.C., Debarment and Suspension Executive Order, the Byrd Anti-Lobbying Amendment, the Renewal Amendment continues, roof and gutter downspouts, cleaning, blah, blah, blah. Section 6002 of the Solid Waste Disposal Act, Record Retention Requirements for Contracts Paid with Federal Funds Act. That's the contract. It's $100,000. Not anywhere in the contract that I can see as a taxpayer of where the work's being done, what school, and how they're doing it. I mean, you have 5 pages of government regulations, and we don't have the damn address on here. Unless you can tell me something different, where are they cleaning these gutters? Do any of the board members know? Does anybody know? So $100,000 of my tax money, we're meeting all the regulations. Wherever they're doing this work, we're meeting all those regulations. But I just think the first thing should be, where are you doing this work? At what school, and how are you gonna do the work? I'm a retired licensed contractor. I would never have, I probably today would have all that, but I'd have an address in my scope of work on here, and I don't find one letter of that in this contract. So please, in the future, in layman's terms, please be a little more explicit. And I get the thing with the government regulations, but as a guy off the street looking at this, I ain't got a clue where this $100,000 is going. At least put an address on there, thank you.
And that concludes public comment for the consent agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Messenger. Okay. The next,
On debate, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, what?
We're on debate.
Okay, yeah, is there any discussion? The board hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. This consent agenda is approved unanimously, 5-0. Okay, the next item of business is new business. And this concerns the Human Relations Board materials. You have a recommendation on this item number 1 of new business, Superintendent.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the appointments, change of assignments, promotions, reappointments, reassignments, resignations, retirements, suspensions, terminations, and transfers.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there a second?
Second.
It is seconded by Board Member Hopes. Is there discussion?
I'm ready. Yes,
Okay.
there's an unread.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Board Member Golden.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The inclusion of the board material here, does that include the 3 principalships, the 3 new principalships?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, I had, I'm the reason that these were pulled from the consent agenda, and I asked them to be pulled because I would like to have a discussion about the way in which one of the appointments arose before that personnel's full disclosure of all of the matters in their personnel file and in what I've come to understand is a OPA file, or OPS, Office of Professional Standards file. So every employee here has two files. One is a personnel file and the other would be any Office of Personnel Standards, which means that they've been disciplined about something. And what I wanted to bring up at this time was whether or not there's an appetite to make sure that our policies going forward will be that there will be full disclosure of everything automatically out of a personnel file and out of a, am I using the right acronym?
OPS.
The OPS file. Because I'm just not comfortable getting information about personnel decisions that have been made from the newspaper that discloses things that I did not know. And I'm not pleased with that. And I don't want to, so I want to make sure that I am not required to go hunt and look for what I think ought to be just out there for everybody to see, especially when you want to become a principal.
The chair recognizes Superintendent Saunders to respond to the concerns of Board Member Golden.
Yes, sir. We have gone back and identified the process, and the executive team has come up with new process and procedures that will be put in place moving forward.
Okay. And the only, not to belabor this, and I probably already know the answer. That's why I'm really glad that I had the one-on-one with Mrs. Messenger, because I was initially asking that we go back and open up this process for anyone that has negative material in their personnel files. But because of the opportunity to dialogue with Mrs. Messenger, I have been informed that the chairperson of the Parish Civic Association and someone else, the county commissioner from that particular area of the county has been in conversation with my colleague, and that they have not experienced any change in sentiment from the community in that area since this negative information was publicly displayed in the newspaper. And I hope I'm properly characterizing what we said in that meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So at this time, I don't feel a need to just continue to roil in this kind of thing, but I certainly hope that this is the last time we will be surprised as a board about information that is contained in a candidate's personnel file that is negative.
Understood.
Okay. Well, thank you, Board Member Golden. Okay. Under the next item of new business is approval of the
We need to
budget.
vote on it. We need to vote on it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for reminding me. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve under new business, item number 1?
It's been moved and seconded. I think we've completed debate. We're ready to vote.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further debate, the chair calls the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, indicating nay.
Nay.
Okay, so this matter passes 4-1. And the next item on the agenda is under new business, is approval. Okay, now, what we just did was new business pulled from the consent. The next one is new business non-consent item. Number 1 is approval of the budget amendments for December 2018. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through December 2018.
Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Kennedy,
Second.
seconded by Board Member Hopes. Is there discussion? There's discussion. The chair recognizes Vice Chair Messenger.
Really more of just a question of, for our CFO is, now we've gotten a few months into doing it with the new software, and I was just kind of curious, how is it all going? Do you find it's getting smoother? I might be putting you on the spot. You may not want to answer this question, but I would like to know. How do you feel since we've been with the new software for a few months?
We're still developing our monthly reports and working through the process. We're having, as we've stated in our financial documents, we're having a few issues with our grants module in presenting that information fully, and also with our P-card transactions, but we hope to have all that cleared up by February. So we are making progress. It's still a learning curve, but we are feeling much better about it than we were a few months ago.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I do.
Okay, Board Member Golden.
Yes. Are there any other module problems that we have experienced in the month of January that we need to be aware of as we get to the end of January with our budget, with our financial data?
We are still tailoring many of our GL components as to the other general ledger. It's our financial ledger components, but our main work is being done on our P-card module and our grants module, and also our billing of our internal accounts and different entities that we bill. As to the other modules, we would have to speak to our business services ERP director.
Okay, the board recognizes Superintendent Saunders to comment on this.
The process is still very labor intensive. We do have some pieces that aren't fully implemented and developed yet. The finance team does a great job getting it together and pulling the information, but probably the biggest thing that we're working on right now, when she mentioned the grant module, we struggle with that all along, is being able to reconcile and pull those dollars in, as well as Medicaid billing, where we receive money from, as you discover, different pots. It's hard to retrieve and those pots to show up within our system right now. So that is something we're working on. I believe I'd mentioned the internal accounts module when it was developed. It was developed that everyone sees everybody's and has access to everybody's internal account. So that has to be reprogrammed so that if I'm at Anna Maria, I can't spend Manatee High School's money. Now, I'm sure they're not doing that at Anna Maria, but we don't want them to even have the ability. So, those are things that as we get through, Jackie would never do that. She said she's got plenty of money in Anna Maria. We are working on it. The team is working very hard, and I do think that Ms. Jenkins is correct. It's easier today than it was in September or October, because then we couldn't even give you the reports, but we're not where we should be.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments other than to keep your eye on Mrs. Featherstone? Okay, the chair calls the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It passes 5-0. The next item of business is approval of the year-to-date financial statements through December 28th. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through December 2018.
Is there a
So moved.
motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Board Member Hopes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there discussion? The chair recognizes Board Vice Chairman Messenger.
Sorry, I have another question. This is pertaining to the P-card transaction that you were talking about. I know that it says that they're just late to post. Is that we are getting the data, it's just later than what we'd like? Is that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly.
Yes, we have the data. It's a reconciliation issue. So we're having problems with our card holders being able to reconcile their P-cards and then it moving through the approval process. We can't see all those transactions. It's just the process of getting them into our general ledger. So we have an accounting of them. We just don't have them posted at this time.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, the board, hearing none, will call the question. All those in favor of approving the year-to-date financial statements through December 28th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing it's unanimous. It is approved. Item number 2 is approved. Next item, number 3.
Mr. Minor,
Did I,
Mr. Minor, for a motion?
okay, I thought we had a motion on.
No. I'd like to make another motion.
Okay.
I move, we have found a technical error in a date in the contract, and they're working to correct it, so we have a clean printout. It's the date for the first performance evaluation. So I move that we have a temporary recess until staff can get us a clean copy of the contract.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded by, Board Member Kennedy
10 minutes?
to take a
10-minute recess.
10-minute recess. The clock on the wall says it's about 7:30. Why don't we plan to resume business? Are we sure 10 minutes is sufficient? Okay. At 7:40. Okay?
Thank you.
Will you all sit down, please? I'm going to bring this to order in the next minute. So, would you please sit down? Okay. Please sit down. This meeting is going to be reopened. Where are we? The next item of business is consideration of a proposed contract between the school board and Cynthia Saunders as superintendent of the school district. Before we go further with this, there are some comments I'm going to try to elicit from the board attorney. There was discussion this afternoon in workshop about updating the proposal that has been before this community and was the proposal that was presented back in December. Just by the passage of time, the dates that were in that proposal are out of date. They've been updated, and some matters that were not, well, they weren't, they were intended to be in there or wanted to be in there. And the proposal that's being considered tonight is something that was discussed this afternoon, and Mr. Dye is going to discuss those, and that's what this board is going to be considering tonight, and we'll have public comment after Mr. Dye gets through.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, there was a discussion at the workshop on the proposed employment contract. Some dates were discussed, and a revised version came out of that workshop. Since then, while reviewing the document, there were some dates that should have been changed that were overlooked. It's all in accordance with your direction from this afternoon. These were just, I'd say, edits that didn't get caught in the first time through. So I'd like to go over those just so the board is aware of where they are. The document I put on your chair is the new version that's to be considered. The first change is on the first page in the 1, 2, 3rd whereas clause. There's a date now says February 12th, 2019, today's date. Previously, it had been March 1st, so March 1st was struck out and substituted February 12th, 2019. The next changes in section 7. It's on my page 4. I'm not sure it's the same as your clean version. Under section 7.1 salary, it's a change from an old March 1, 2019 date, changed to February 12th, 2019. And the next change is in section 7.2, immediately following. This was discussion on the performance review schedule. The earlier language was inconsistent. The board's intent, as I interpret it from this afternoon, is to create a performance review document and have a performance review no later than the end of fiscal year 2020. And you'll see a line about in the middle of that paragraph. It says, in no event shall the performance review be held later than June 30, 2020. That's the change. That's just to keep the dates consistent.
Good.
And that's all the changes since the document you saw this afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good.
Mr. Minor, I make a motion to approve the superintendent's employment contract as presented by General Counsel Jim Dye.
There's been a motion made to approve this as discussed. Is there a second to the motion? The chair will second that motion, and we'll proceed. Is there any discussion?
Public comment.
Public comment, okay.
First is James Daniels, and after James Daniels, John Colon, but I don't see him.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members. Evening. Superintendent. I'm Jim Daniel. I'm a father of Manatee County students, husband of a teacher, and failed political candidate. During that campaign, we talked and talked and talked about a national campaign, about the need for it. We talked about the history of how we have developed and come up with superintendents. I was a very, very strong proponent of we need to look outside of what we have here. For better or for worse, we have had a severe depletion of human capital. It all comes down to people. When you look at the reserve balances and the fund balance at the end of last year, we can now look back and realize that occurred because we didn't hire the people we needed to have to do the IRP. And so we were penny wise and pound foolish because now we're spending a whole lot more than we saved on those salaries. So you've got a whole new set of math that's present now than it was back in August when the election was held and I lost. I'm here today to tell you I've changed my mind. Looking at the circumstances, looking at the facts, looking at what you members are facing, and I got a little taste of that. I encourage you to approve this contract. I know there's doubts, I know there's theirs. I'm the leader of the pack. But I think that in the circumstances that we're facing, in the middle of this IRP disaster, in the middle of trying to get ourselves with some people in place that can be there, because we have no staff, we have no senior staff, we have nobody to work from. From a business standpoint, you have CFOs, you have controllers on the finance side, you've got a whole stream of people. We've got a chart of accounts, a chart of personnel that has that in place, but there's nobody in those chairs. And so we've got to make that the number one priority, because going forward, nothing happens without people making it happen. And if you don't have good people, you ain't got nothing. So I would encourage you to start with the first good person and to put this contract in place with Cynthia Saunders. I believe that it is appropriate. I will be the first to say I was against it. If you'd asked me in August, I would have had a different answer. We're much farther down the road. You're looking at a whole different set of circumstances. And I would encourage you. I would also say you have my blessing, you guys.
Thank you.
John Cologne, last call. All right, Nancy Sanders. Nancy? Okay, Dr. Connard, and then Mr. Gibellina.
Chairman Minor, board members, and senior management of the administration. I spoke this afternoon, as did many others, including Superintendent Saunders' subordinates, as well as others in the community, who spoke very favorably about her skill set, her capability to show leadership as our superintendent. What I want to mention tonight is the fact, as all of you are aware, you're the largest public entity in Manatee County with a budget approximating $1 billion with everything in. We've got an administrative circumstance right now that we are very short on 3 or 4 important positions that our superintendent needs to get filled. Those positions cannot be filled by trying to attract any talent who are not certain who their boss is going to be. The aspects of this contract have been just chewed up and spit out and re-spoken again. My encouragement to you is get this contract in place, let this administration start to be able to effectively function by trying their best to attract the best talent that they can. To do that, this dais needs to vote on this and to get this project approved and underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again, Glenn Gibellina for the for the record. And just for a point of order, I did sign up for item 12C, which is prior to this, and I wasn't called, so I don't know if we want to take that up in another issue, or I'll let it slide. It doesn't matter to me.
Let it slide.
Let it slide? Let it slide. Okay.
Clock's reset.
The topic was new business, number C, food service budget amendment 12.18. And you have a public comment, electronically public comment card on that. So, all right, let's move into the contract then. As I read this contract, you know, we look at it and we say, I look at it as the outstanding job that Mrs. Saunders has been doing so far. And like the two other people up here, I also encourage the contract to be approved. The problem that I have with the previous contract, that this one is molded after, Mr. Minor, I believe you're in the service, right, the Marines?
Yes, sir.
A deal's a deal, right? So if you sign up for the service for 4 years, and in 2 years you say, you know what? I got the Navy over there, and they got a nice place on the water. I think I want to go over there. You think the Marines would let you out of that 4-year commitment?
They might be wanting to get rid of me.
Yeah. That wasn't the case here, okay? And I'm just saying, as a taxpayer, we let the previous administrator out, we patted her on the back, we gave her all these incentives, and there were no consequences for not fulfilling that contract. I mean, that disturbed me. I don't think we got a fair shake on it. The good news is we got someone outstanding to take her place. So that's the good news. The bad news, I thought it was a poorly written contract. She didn't live up to her agreement, and you know, you guys approved it. But that's water under the bridge. I feel right now that with Ms. Saunders in place, we should keep that in place. The termination without cause and, you know, this 90-day stuff, I mean, that gives both sides wiggle room to get in and out of it. You know, I don't want to be in the same position we were with Ms. Green. Well, I think I'm going to go down the road. We have a good employee. Let's just make it rock solid for 3 years, call it a day. This wiggle room here disturbs me, that anybody can, with or without cause, you know, willfully neglect, drunkenness, illegal use of drugs, or commission that act brings public disgrace, misconduct, conviction of crime. I don't think I don't think you're that kind of person. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that should be yanked. Give her the 3 years, zero wiggle room. By the way, you live in Palmetto. Where are you going? Come on, it doesn't get better than that. So, I would encourage to expedite this contract, take some of the fluff out, and I guess as a closing statement, on the car allowance, I knew in past previous superintendents it was like $400, $450. I'm not sure whether you get a car allowance now, but my question is, what's going to change between now and the new contract? I mean, she's still going to come to work. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, who needs a car allowance is Mr. Tallenbaum there with that new Audi. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
That concludes public comment.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Messenger. Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. Vice Chair Messenger. All right, you know, actually, the privilege should go to the person who made the motion to approve. Is that okay?
It's fine with me.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. The board recognizes Board Member Hopes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, we have been working on this for quite some time. You have all worked with Cynthia Saunders longer than I. You've seen the progress that this district has made in the areas of academics, student success, student achievement, and the data speaks for itself. But more importantly, last year, when we were in a true time of crisis with less than 30 days to fill the superintendent's position, to be in compliance with state law, we discussed it, we evaluated it, and we negotiated an agreement, we debated it, and we exercised and executed that agreement with Cynthia Saunders to be our superintendent. We all looked at that in June as a short-term fix. Subsequent to that, on her first day, we became aware of numerous challenges with the ERP system, with our basic operations, and she rose to the occasion. She proved herself capable as a leader of the district to not only continue to do the job she was being paid for before, but to take on the role of the superintendent at a time when the public was critical of the district, at a time when we may have even doubted our own ability to pull through the challenges that were before us, that she led the district. She communicated effectively with each one of us. It was a rarity that we became aware of issues without her consulting with us. She sought our advice, she sought our counsel, and she maintained the district moving forward, as the data will show when we get our school grades and our district grades. And I ask you to support and approve this agreement as we faithfully negotiated today in the workshop, and provide the unwielding support to the superintendent to fill the myriad of vacancies we have in this district, from the deputy superintendent level all the way down, so that we can continue the progress that this district has made, both financially, operationally, and academically. We need to move this forward. Upon approval of this agreement tonight and the chairman's signature, I believe the community will get behind our superintendent and support the district in moving forward. With that, Mr. Chairman, I ask for my members' support. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Hopes. I think, yeah, we're going to go with Vice Chair Messenger. You had asked to speak before.
I just wanted to bring up one thing that I noticed in this contract, now that's been updated.
Yeah.
On page 4, there's a section 6 that is the annual evaluation that had already existed. And now there's a 7.2, which is the performance review part that we added, which is really the money tied to it. But looking at both, I don't think we need both. Once again, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm thinking maybe we get rid of number 6 altogether, because number 7.2 really covers both pieces. It covers now the incentive pay, but it also covers that there is going to be an annual evaluation.
Mr. Chairman, I move to strike paragraph 6 and renumber the paragraphs.
Okay, there's a motion made by Mr. Board Member Hopes. I guess it's going to be seconded by
I'll second that, yeah.
by Board Member Messenger.
Well, I mean, I'd like a lawyer to affirm that, but that is how
Okay.
I see it.
Okay, I think I heard a request by Board Member Messenger for an opinion from Mr. Dye.
Mr. Chair, I agree with Mrs. Messenger in the motion. It should be struck.
And to renumber the paragraphs, beginning with paragraph number 7 as being number 6 and going through there. Okay.
So on, yes.
Let me ask, is there any further discussion with respect to the motion that's been made by Vice Chair Messenger and seconded by Board Member Hopes? Is there any further?
I think it was
I think Mr.
reversed, but that's okay.
Did I reverse that? We're gonna take out 6 and make what was number 7, compensation, paragraph 6, and for the rest of the document, renumber, with that adjustment.
Correct, Mr. Chair, that's the motion.
Okay. Am I getting this right on that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kennedy, did you have a comment on?
On this motion, no.
Okay. All right, if there's no further discussion,
All in favor?
now, we got kind of a motion within a motion, but I'm going to ask Board Counsel to correct me if I'm wrong, for me to call the question on this motion within the motion.
Yep.
It's okay. So I'm going to call the question with respect to Board Member Messenger's motion. All those,
Member Hopes' motion.
excuse me. Well, just a second. I'm dealing with Board Messenger's Board Member Messenger's motion.
No.
No, he made the motion to change the paragraphs.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, okay. Board Member Hope's motion that was seconded by Board Member Messenger.
To change the paragraphs.
To change the numbering of the paragraphs and delete what was formerly number 6. Okay, everybody understanding? Okay, I think I even understand it. So, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Board Member Hope's motion that had been seconded by Board Member, or Vice Chairman Messenger is approved. All right. Now, did you have some other comments that you wish to make at this time?
Sure.
Well, okay, I had turned it over to you, kind of.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay, this decision is not based on how I feel about Mrs. Saunders personally. I really enjoy meeting with Mrs. Saunders and talking with her. I think we have a good time. And my baby enjoys her, even if she did spit up on your desk the last meeting. So don't take that personally. And I truly admire her lengthy career, and I think that that was built with diligence and strong leadership. And while I like her personally, this decision is not about me and my feelings. It's about the students and what I believe is best for them. And because of that, I really believe it's a mistake to approve this contract tonight. I believe our job is to ensure that we have the best person we can get, and we are not doing that if we offer this contract tonight. Perhaps Mrs. Saunders is the best, but we cannot affirm that without a search. In all honesty, I have seen, learned, and heard enough to give me significant pause. To me, our wisest decision is to vote no on this contract and move forward with an RFP for search companies. As always, I believe in supporting whatever this board so chooses. But I ask everyone up here to consider what is truly best for the 50,000 students in Manatee County, because to me, this feels like very much like we are kicking the can further down the road.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you. Mr. Minor, we as a board discussed this thoroughly at the workshop, so I don't want to, I mean, if I have to, I will make the explanation again, but I would still like to make a motion to postpone this contract decision until the meeting, the regular meeting on April 9th.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Kennedy.
It fails for lack of second.
Yeah, I don't hear a
Can we give
second,
it
so
5
that,
seconds?
that motion dies.
Wow.
Is there any further discussion?
Who is running this meeting?
Okay. No further discussion. The chair will call the question. All those in favor?
Mr. Minor, if we're going to proceed, I've got some comments on the contract. I didn't realize my motion would be snuffed out so quickly, not even by the chair. But if we're proceeding, I have some comments I'd like to make, some suggestions for the contract.
Okay, we'll allow you no further comment.
Not a good moment for us. Okay. Wow. Okay, on what the old 7, I guess it's now 6, under compensation. I'm looking at vacation, sick leave, personal leave, FRS. Actually, this is a very simple ask. I think if you, as you're all aware, there's an attachment here in the contract that the superintendent's, I don't want to say steps because the superintendent's not on a step, but the superintendent's compensation is tied to the SAMP employees' compensation. And so my suggestion would be is that whatever our SAMP employees get for vacation time, sick leave, whatever, there's provisions for the buying out of sick leave, whether you leave the district or you retire. And I would like to see, as a matter of fairness, if we have any matters of fairness tonight, because that I'm frankly amazed that I didn't even get a chance to see if I had a second. But here we go. So I would like to make the motion that we make 7.3, 7.4, 7.9, personal leave, consistent with what is in the, what other SAMP employees work under in this district.
I'll second that. Just for the sake of discussion, I'd like to understand how is it different? I mean, I wish we'd had this conversation at the workshop instead of right now, I guess, but.
Well, yeah, I'm I'm caught a little bit off guard, but I guess that was the idea. Okay, the superintendent shall earn 25 working days of annual paid vacation each contract year. Frankly, I'm not sure how many vacation days our SAMP employees get. I don't believe it to be 25, though. Show.
May I speak, Mr. Chair?
This was negotiated.
Yeah. May I speak?
Board recognizes the general counsel, Titlebaum, to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make a generalized comment. Under the Florida statute, the school board hires 3 individual employees. They hire the board attorney next to me, Mr. Dye, they hire the internal auditor, and Ms. Saunders is your employee. I just want that to be very, very certain. As you make decisions here, though she may tie herself to SAMP, she's unique. She's not like any other employee. I am not in the same class as Ms. Saunders. I'm not a direct employee. She is my boss. You are her boss. I just wanted to make the board cognizant. This is
Okay.
statutory.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Titlebaum.
Mr. Ryan?
Go on.
Under, Mr. Titlebaum, all good points taken. Under 7.1, it says, the annual salary beginning February 12th, beginning today, shall be $196,000, and this salary will be adjusted annually by the same percentage adjustment for all district SAMP employees. That's where this idea comes from. I would like to see, we are all at different job levels, but we are all in this together as school district employees. And I think, just as a gesture, as I said at the workshop, the idea that I guess I'm not going to get to present or even be considered, which is okay if the board doesn't want to do that, but I want the superintendent to start off in this new permanent role on the best possible footing. And I think a small gesture like this would tell our employees that we are all in this together. It's a simple ask. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. All right, is there any other?
Could I just say one thing?
Okay, the board recognizes Superintendent Saunders.
The payout clauses for the vacation and sick leave are the same as the employees.
Okay.
The number of days on the vacation are different than other SAMP, but the payout condition of the allotted time, as well as retirement or exiting without retirement, are the same as our current employees have.
That's
I
all
just
I'm
wanted to
asking.
make that statement.
Thank you, Superintendent Saunders, for that clarification. The board recognizes Board Member Hope.
Members, I would just like to, mention that Superintendent Saunders is the CEO of this board and the superintendent of the district. And unlike other SAMP employees, she had to take an oath of office. This agreement and these terms were negotiated last June with a number of different attorneys and Ms. Saunders. It was tailored after a number of other superintendent agreements. There was a consultant involved that assisted us with the development and negotiation of this agreement so that it is in alignment with a CEO of a school board and a superintendent. And while many of these conditions are in alignment, the reason for tying the annual increase to that of the SAMP employees is to give the same, whether it's a cost of living calculation, to make it uniform as an ease of instrument in order to do that. I ask you members to vote down this amendment. We had a discussion in a workshop. This agreement was negotiated now with 2 different chairs as well as respective attorneys for both our superintendent and the board's general counsel. And I ask, as well-intentioned as it may be from an optics perspective, we're now getting into changing terms of an agreement that was negotiated, an agreement that was workshopped this afternoon, and I do believe, Mr. Chairman and members, we need to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Board Member Hopes. Is there any further discussion on Mr. Kennedy's motion? The board recognizes Board Member Golden.
I'd like to ask the maker of the motion, because I understand that there was conversation had after I left the meeting today, and it was had also while I was there. I believe the chair asked Mrs. Saunders if we did not make a decision tonight, whether she would be willing to wait. And her answer in that meeting was no.
That's correct.
Okay, so am I to assume that the motion that you're making is being made with the clear understanding that notwithstanding what you hope, with the clear understanding that if we do not do this tonight, we will have to find another superintendent? Do you understand that?
I think I do, Mr. Chairman.
I'm going to, are you through with your comments, Board Member Golden?
Because we're going to vote on this motion, and before I cast the vote on this motion, I want to make absolutely sure that we understand the impact of the motion, because I heard in the workshop earlier today, the question arise, if we do not vote on this, will you stay for the 30 days or whatever the other suggestions that were made? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I just want to make sure that I understand, because I'm not going to vote on emotion either. I'm going to vote on what's in the best interest of the children of this district, notwithstanding what I say with my lips, but based on the facts. So I want to be clear that we all understand that a vote to support your motion is tantamount to a vote to saying that we do not want this lady to be our superintendent.
His motion is to amend the agreement.
Can I speak for myself?
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, the chair is the chair here.
And you know
Now,
what?
I'm asking, are you all through with your
No,
comment?
I'm not through.
Okay.
And I can speak for myself, and I know what I'm asking.
I do too.
The motion that has been made, as I understand it, is that we table this.
Oh, no, that died. That died. Mr. Golden, that motion died.
Again,
This is a
Mr. Chair, may I
motion
respond?
to, Mr. Chair.
Okay, are you through, Mr. Golden?
Correct?
Okay, we don't have you have a statement?
Yeah,
And you made a
correct.
statement, okay. Now, Mr. Kennedy spoke, Board Member Hopes, did you have some comment with
Yes, I
respect
just,
to this
from-
motion?
Yes, sir. From the line of questioning that Mr. Golden had, I just would like to make it clear. Mr. Kennedy's motion to postpone, in essence, failed for lack of second, so that's not the motion we're on. Mr. Kennedy has made a subsequent motion to change the compensation, the vacation, and other terms of the agreement to be the same as our SAMP employees who do not take an oath of office like us. And my comments to Mr. Kennedy's motion to change the agreement before we take up the agreement is what we are debating. And I had asked the members in my debate to vote no for Mr. Kennedy's motion because the terms in this agreement had been negotiated both through myself as chair, Mr. Minor as chair, Cynthia Saunders attorneys, the board's general counsel, and a consultant working for the district. So Mr. Kennedy's motion was to change the terms that had already been approved by all parties and it was not brought up by Mr. Kennedy in our workshop today. And should Mr. Kennedy's motion fail, as I'm asking, then we'll be on the contract as presented by Mr. Dye and amended by my motion regarding paragraph 6.
The chair will take the privilege of commenting on this motion, too. Those contract provisions closely parallel the contract that this district had with Dr. Green that was approved by board members, some of the board members here, including Mr. Kennedy, as being fair and appropriate to be in a superintendent's contract. They weren't something just kind of thought up. 3 people, I've said before, guilty of involved with drafting the proposed contract that was presented in December were me, Dr. Vogel, and Attorney Dye, for legality. And there was reference, to other contracts of superintendents, in Florida, and to come up with something that was, fair to both parties, served the district, and included some new language which I think this district could be proud of in making things better, for the district. And, fair. And included in that, and in this contract here, was the language of, 6 months before, expiration or so, each party would have to indicate whether or not there was going to be an extension or not. So people, be it the superintendent, who'd say, well, I'm going to be gone, after the expiration of this, or the district could say, you're going to be gone after the expiration, and each party would have 6 months to make plans. I think that's a gem this district can be proud of. There are provisions in here, and as I heard...
Mr. Chair, point of order.
I'm sorry, you are out of order.
I have a point of order to raise.
I'm sorry, you're out of order at this point, Mr. Kennedy, okay?
I
I'm
would like to
responding
appeal the
motion.
chair's decision.
Okay, we're going to have a vote. All those in favor who feel that the chair is out of order in making my comments, please indicate by saying aye.
That's... Aye. I mean, I have a point of order to make.
Okay, we're voting on whether you think I'm out. You have 2 votes, I think, that I'm out of order. Okay, that fails for lack of a majority.
I just said...
Thank you very much, Mr.
Robert's Rules of
Kennedy.
Order, I'm allowed to make a point of order. It doesn't need a second.
You just made it, and it's been overruled.
So you just spent a year yelling about not being heard, and now you've become chair, and I'm not allowed to be heard.
You are allowed to be heard. You've been heard a lot today. Okay, I'm going to continue with my remarks about the value of this contract. A great deal of effort was put in to have a fair contract for everyone, including continuing with provisions similar to those with Mr. Green. So it's not anything new. It's not anything that is just proposed for this board to approve. It's something that has been approved by this board before, and seemed to work well before. So that's my response with respect to the motion that was made by Mr. Kennedy, and the chair certainly has the right to do that. Now, Mr. Kennedy, you have some further comments you'd like to offer.
Thank you very much. My point of order was that the motion that is under consideration right now is my motion about matching these variables to the SAM contract. My objection to my point of order was that you were on to other parts of the contract which are not subject to this motion. That's all I wanted to say, so that we could focus on this, vote it up or down, and move on. So I would like to call the question on my motion, so we can continue other conversations.
Mr. Minor, just a comment
Okay,
on the
just a second.
motion.
Now, Mr. Kennedy made his opinion about my remarks. I will tell him I disagreed with that because I was addressing, really, he wanted to make some changes, which I was pointing out had been previously voted on by Mr. Kennedy himself to be proper in a superintendent's contract, and had never and it did work well with Dr. Green's contract in the past that Mr. Kennedy voted on, and these provisions have not been objected to at any time, including this afternoon, by anyone. Now, there's been an ask by Mr. Kennedy to call that question. Okay. Board Member Hopes, or not, Board Member Golden, you have some comment?
Yes, I have an unreadiness.
Okay.
Because I think that the premise under which we are operating with respect to Mr. Kennedy's motion is an erroneous premise, because having talked with counsel about this contract, quote, it is a living, breathing document right up until the time we decide to vote on it. Correct. And all I'm asking is that, number one, we don't box ourselves in by voting on something that we have not considered, when in fact what we are doing here is trying to make a decision on something that we are considering even in the meeting setting, notwithstanding what we discussed in the workshop, because we couldn't vote in the workshop. And he may not have thought of it in the workshop. He's thought of it now, and I think he is entitled to have an up or down vote on his particular provision without that causing concern about whether or not we are redoing the contract. That's what I have a problem with. And can I ask the counsel, the paid lawyer, am I right in what I've just said?
Mr. Chair. I don't think anybody disagrees with what Mr. Golden just expressed. I certainly agree with it, too.
All right.
I don't think there's any dispute there. And I believe that Mr. Kennedy is asked to call the question.
All right.
Okay? I think that's where we stay with respect to Mr. Kennedy's motion.
Okay.
Everybody agree? Okay. All those in favor of Mr. Kennedy's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, there's 2 votes. All those opposed indicate by indicating nay. Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, Mr. Kennedy's motion is not approved. Okay, now, that brings us back now to the seminal question as to whether or not this board tonight wishes to approve the proposed contract that we all have before us. Okay? Perfect and imperfect with revisions as it may be. And if the board does not hear any further comments, the chair is now going to call the question. And I'm going to ask, okay, Mr. Kennedy?
I'd like to make a motion that we postpone this contract decision until the regular meeting of April 23rd.
It's the same motion you had before.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
April 9th.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Hope's you out of order. Okay, there's been a motion made by Mr. Kennedy. The chair does not hear a second, and it's, so it died. This brings us back to the seminal question, whether this board, tonight, wishes to approve this proposed contract which is before us, to have the services of Superintendent Saunders. And
For close?
pardon?
To close on my motion?
To close on your motion? I think you made the motion to approve, didn't you, sir?
Yes, but we've had some discussion. I just wanted to clarify for Mr. Golden, because he was not here when we approved the terms of the superintendent's agreement, which are the terms that are in her current agreement that Mr. Kennedy's motion was trying to change. I wanted to let him know that these terms are the same as her current agreement with regards to these provisions. Thank you, Mr. Minor.
Okay. Well said, and that's a good reminder. But we have before us a proposed contract. And I think everybody knows how I feel. I think we know how the superintendent feels. We're either in or out. She's gone. If we don't approve, if we approve, she's with us. That's what it comes down to. And we're not talking about a week or 2 weeks, she's gone. It's up to us, the 5 of us, to make that decision at this moment. So I'm going to call the questions. All those in favor of approving the contract, please indicate by saying yes or yay. All those in favor, say aye.
Yay.
Aye. Those opposed, nay?
Nay.
Everybody's required to vote.
How did you vote, Mr.?
Golden, how did you vote?
Do I get to say anything?
It's time to vote.
Okay. So I don't get to say anything.
Well, Mr. Golden, I want to be totally respectful to you, but,
Then just be that way.
well, I don't think I'm being disrespectful after the motion has been moved, that's kind of how the rules, the question's been called. Now, if this board agrees, then Mr. Golden should make further comments. The majority says yes, I'll go along with it, but I don't think it's in accordance with the rules just for the board. You're supposed to vote when the question is called. Now, I'm going to ask Mr. Dye.
Mr. Minor, given the fact that we did not hear the vote, I move that we reconsider the vote on the approval of the superintendent's contract.
And vote one by one.
Okay, we're kind of.
Do a roll call vote.
Okay, Mr. Board Member Hopes has made a motion that we reconsider the status of the vote.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Did you get 5 votes on that motion?
No, we didn't.
No.
Okay, you haven't completed the voting then.
Right.
We haven't.
Everybody is required to vote one way or the other. Now, Dr. Hopes has asked for a roll call vote. You could move into a roll call, but that's still on the same motion that was before
Right.
the board.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to ask,
The clerk for a roll call.
well, I'm going to ask, the board attorney to give me some guidance here. I understand that Board Member Golden would like to, express some thinking about this further. I personally don't have any problem with that if it doesn't violate rules of conduct of the meeting. And I'd like to allow him to do that. But is that, am I creating some parliamentary sin? And I'm kind of,
Well, Mr. Chair, traditionally, once the chair has called a close to the discussion and you go into voting, there is no more discussion. I would think as a point of privilege, if the body wishes to have further discussion, the body can do that. But I would advise that if Reverend Golden gets further discussion, that you need to open it up to all the board members to keep things fair.
Which is my point.
okay,
To
now.
begin with, Mr. Chair, because you never closed the discussion. You didn't.
Do I understand, Mr. Golden, that you're making a motion that we open up for further discussion the issue of approving or not approving the proposed contract that is before us?
And that we have a roll call vote.
Okay, and after completion of that discussion? Okay. There's a motion made by Board Member Golden to reopen discussion.
Second.
And after that discussion is completed, then to have a roll call vote. That's how I understand what Board Member Golden has said. All right, it's been seconded by Board Member Kennedy. All right. Now, this is just discussion on Board Member Golden's motion that's been seconded by Kennedy. Is there any discussion regarding that? The chair hears none. So, I'm about to call that question and to have a roll call vote on this, okay? And all those, instead of favor, we'll have a roll call vote going from my right to my left. Or I'm I guess
I'm gonna go ahead and withdraw my motion to reconsider so that Mr. Golden can have his motion.
Okay, now, I'm gonna ask the clerk to call off the board members and ask them to respond how they vote to Mr. Board Member Golden's motion. Could the clerk, Michelle or Kelly, call out the names?
Board Member Hopes,
Yes.
Board,
Board Member Golden,
Yes.
Board Member Messenger.
Now, to reaffirm, this is only so that we can have a roll call.
No, so we can
And have more
discuss it.
discussion?
Reopen discussion and then have a roll call.
No.
okay.
Board Member Kennedy,
Yes.
Chair Minor.
Yes. Okay, now we've had a roll call vote. I voted 4-1. It's been approved to reopen discussion. And when we, on the seminal issue of whether this board should approve the proposed proposed contract that's before us, and following that discussion, to have a roll call vote whether to approve or not approve that contract. That's how I see where we are. So, I think, Mr. Golden, I understood that you wish to provide the board and the community further comments with respect to the proposal. And you are recognized to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow board members. Since I'm the newest participant in this process that obviously has been going on since June of 2018, I have heard, probably as many of you have heard from as many people as you have heard, and probably more so. But there was one thing that I wanted to make sure that was presented not only to us, but to the public, because it was the public that I considered to be important in this process. It is a letter to all of us as board members from a former board member. And that informs me as much as anything I've heard or seen. As a former board member, I generally try to stay out of your business. I understand and appreciate the difficulty you face in preparing for and executing your duties, as well as the fact that you have access to information that I don't. Regardless, there are two issues on this week's agenda which caught my attention. I had planned to attend the meeting, but will be out of town. The first issue, the superintendent's contract. At first, there was going to be one, a national search. Two, Ms. Saunders could not apply for the position. And three, the board wanted to make sure that whoever was on the board after the elections would be involved in the decision. Subsequent to the election, those serving on the board made the decision to allow Mrs. Saunders to apply. Regardless of which way you go, hire Ms. Sanders or do a national search, there are risks and probably backlash. I've been involved in 2 superintendent searches, 3 if you include how we promoted Dr. Green. In the first search, I went in-house, and in the second one, I went completely out of state with my support. In both cases, the results were problematic in different ways for many reasons. In hindsight, the common thread I see in both was not a lack of intelligence or understanding of how a school system needs to run. It was a lack of superintendent-board working relationship. The issues each faced were in themselves not overwhelming, but the superintendent board did not appear to have the relationship to successfully navigate them. In the end, it doomed both superintendents and made life a living hell for the board. In my humble opinion, some of that blame lies with the board and some of it with the superintendents. Regardless, the problem existed. It was bad for everyone involved and for the students the district serves. I realize there will be some of you who are receiving calls to go with the national search and perhaps other calls to just hire her. If you are not happy with how Mrs. Saunders is handling the issues in front of her, if she is not keeping you informed of issues that you have expressed an interest in being informed of, or is just not working out, a national search may be best. Hopefully, each of you has taken the time to have a conversation with the superintendent privately on whatever concerns you have with regard to her performance. If Mrs. Saunders is meeting or even improving in the qualities that you need to see in the superintendent, and you feel you can work with her, then going with a national search just for the sake of doing one is the risky move and not necessarily in the best interest of the district or the students it serves. From what I can see, and from conversations I've had with some of you, Mrs. Saunders and this board appear to have found an ability to work collaboratively. She also appears to be forthcoming with information you need to make your decisions from. She does not appear to be playing politics with the very real issues each district faces. Based on my experience, those are critically important qualities. If it was me, I believe I would stay with Ms. Saunders and take the heat for not conducting a national search. Obviously, it remains your decision. I vote yes. And I gotta go to the bathroom. When you get to be 71, you'll understand.
Okay,
I think we-
thank you, Mr. Board Member Golden. Okay, is there, we opened this up for discussion.
I'll call the question.
Okay.
We all
Well, just a sec.
Mr. Chair, if
Yeah.
I may, you
Let's
should poll
take-
the board to make sure there are no further comments,
Okay.
because that was the.
Right. I think there is more comments. I can see it here.
Thank you.
I'm going to, with permission of the rest of the board, I think it's important that all board members be present, for all the discussions, and we wait until Board Member Golden is back, and then each, board member will have an opportunity to do, and then we have the vote. So do I hear a motion to?
I'll move for a
Okay.
short recess, Mr.
Okay, short recess.
Chair.
I don't think we're talking about more than 10 minutes, I hope. But we'll resume it. What is it, about 10? We'll resume in 10 minutes. I think that's sufficient time. Okay.
Mr. Chair, can we make it 5? Because we said 10 last time and it was 25 minutes.
9 o'clock. 9:03. I'm not going to. Okay, thank you. We're on board discussion of Mr. Board Member Hopes' motion that was seconded. And we reopened for discussion, and the chair, is there further discussion regarding that motion? The chair recognizes Board Member Kennedy.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and board colleagues, sensing the division in the community, on the board, the compromise that I offered and did not win the day, and that's okay. Like I said at the workshop, that's why there's 5 of us, and we make decisions as a team. And I congratulate the superintendent. I, of course, wish her the best and all of her team and our staff. I just want to take a second, you know, I'm glad you shared that note from former board member Gauze, because everything I learned about being a good school board member came from him. And one of the things he would always remind us, leaving a vote like this where there was a great difference of opinion and some, speaking for myself, feeling like I wasn't heard and some hurt feelings maybe, but so I have no hurt feelings. I will move forward, supporting the superintendent, supporting the decision of this board. And because I think if Bob were sitting here, if Mr. Gauze were sitting here, he would say the same thing after a divisive vote. Folks, we got to move forward together. We had the debate, we've had the conversations, but it's time to move forward as a team. And that's where we are, and this is where we're going. So let's go, and let's go together.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Kennedy. Okay, is there any further discussion on Board Member Hope's motion? The chair hearing none, I'm going to call the question. Now, I think we've already had one vote, but we're going to have a roll call vote, okay? That's what I understand stood.
That was my motion.
Okay, Board Member Golden's motion, so I'm going to ask the clerk to do a roll call for all the board members, please.
Board Member Hopes.
Yes.
Board Member Golden.
Yes.
Board Member Kennedy.
No.
Vice Chair Messenger.
No.
Chair Minor.
Yes.
The
The
motion passes 3-2.
Okay. By a vote of 3-2, the motion passes, and this district, now has a contract with Superintendent Saunders. Congratulations to the community. Please stick around afterwards. We're going to need your autograph, okay? If that's not too inconvenient. The next item of business is a...
Chair.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Board Member Golden.
In a related matter, conversations with the attorney, I understand that there's no statutory language that calls for an interim superintendent. Correct. And
Sorry.
there's no statutory language that calls for an interim superintendent. I would like to move that as a matter of policy, that the Manatee County School Board no longer offer interim contracts at the superintendent level. That all of the contracts at the superintendent level be permanent contracts.
You can't hear him?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Should I start over?
The chair is recognizing Board Member Golden to make a statement.
I just want to make a motion that the Manatee County School Board no longer offer interim contracts at the superintendent level in this county. There's just, okay, I'll speak to it in a bit.
Okay, well, thank Ms. Golden. Clearly, that's not on the agenda, and I think there's a lot of wisdom that goes into your suggestion, and if Board Member Golden would like to have that for consideration, by the board at the next meeting, to change our procedures to reflect that wish, I will, see that it is on the agenda, but it not being on the agenda tonight, and it is a proposal that has significant effect upon how we do business, I don't think it would be, proper for us to proceed, with that at this time. But I thank you for making that suggestion. So we'll move on to what is on the agenda, and that is approval.
I'm sorry, that this will be on the next agenda?
I'll put it on the next agenda. Yeah.
That's fine.
Now, if that's your wish.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The next item under new business, number 4, is approval of ratification of proposed amendments to the master contract with the Manatee Education Association. And is there a motion?
Oh, recommendation.
Okay, a recommendation for the superintendent.
Yes, I recommend the approval of ratification of the proposed amendments to the master contract with the Manatee Education Association for teachers and the school board of Manatee County in the approximate amount of $2,200,000.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Hopes, and it's been seconded by Board Member Kennedy. Is there discussion? I'll just say this. I'm reading in the paper down in Sarasota, they got a lot of problems. And they're envious of us. And somebody was showing me earlier about the concern down there with teachers coming up here, to work for us. Boy, that's a sweet day. So, if there's no further discussion, and the chair's gonna call a question, and all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. This item has been approved unanimously. The next item of business is approval of ratification of approval of the agreement between the School Board of Manatee County and the University of South Florida. And ask for the superintendent's recommendation.
Yes, I recommend the approval of ratification of the proposed amendments to the master contract with the Manatee Education Association for paraprofessionals and the School Board of Manatee County in the approximate amount of $465,720.
So moved.
Okay. I guess that, I read it wrong. Apology. Can I go through this again?
Number 5.
Okay, approval of the master con. Let me say, the motion is approval of ratification of proposed amendments to the master contract with Manatee Education Association, and the superintendent has recommended that we approve this, and it's been moved by Board Member Hopes to approve. Is there a second to this?
I'll
second.
Okay, let's, seconded by Board Member, or Board
Thank you.
Vice
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Messenger. Is there any discussion? This is another great thing, for Manatee County. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Again, it passes unanimously. The next item of business is the approval of the agreement between the School Board of Manatee County and University of South Florida. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the agreement between the School Board of Manatee County and the University of South Florida, Sarasota Manatee campus for the 2019-2020 school year dual enrollment articulation agreement not to exceed $200,000.
So moved.
Thank you. It's been moved by Board Member Hopes to approve the superintendent's recommendation. I think it's been seconded by Board Member Kennedy.
Correct.
Okay. Discussion. Board Member, Vice Chair.
For comment? I made the
Oh.
motion.
Okay, I think that Board Member, or Vice Chair Messenger had some comments that she wanted to make at this point.
Yeah, but he said he made the motion, and he'd like to go first, that's fine.
Okay. Everybody happy?
Members,
Board Member Hopes?
Members, I
Recognized.
ask for your approval of this. This is the first school district in the state that the University of South Florida will be offering their courses on our high school campuses. It is something that I worked on from 2013, when I became aware that the University of South Florida did not participate in dual enrollment on high school campuses. And it's been a long road, and I certainly, in 2013, never thought I would be on a school board in the service area of the University of South Florida. But this is a great opportunity for our students. They will receive university credit for one of the state's 3 preeminent research universities, a top 25 public research university in the entire United States. And this will be at no charge to our parents and our students. I ask for your support. Thank you.
Okay, that almost sounds like a motion, or we've already had a motion to approve and second it. Further comments? Vice Chairman Messenger.
I was only gonna ask if Mrs. Saunders would give any more additional information so that the public is aware of this agreement that you've been working on.
Yes, we're real fortunate we were able to finalize it last week. We are approving it first. It has not gone before their board yet because our meeting was before theirs. But what's wonderful is now that the board's approved it, we can put it in all of the curriculum guides for the high schools so they can start selecting and registering their courses so that they'll be in place for next year. In addition to us being able to offer the dual enrollment, we're able to offer far more courses through USF than we have in the past with dual enrollment. So we're very pleased with what they're able to do in the expansion. I know Dr. Hopes had worked with them prior, but they really were excited to come with a partnership with us and expand on our campuses. So we're gonna try to expand and open our own educational cohort. We're gonna grow our own teachers. And we're going to be offering a number of courses where students can go ahead and start that track if they want to become teachers or educators. So it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for our students and our high school kids.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Superintendent. Board Member Kennedy?
Very fast. Just a thank you to the superintendent for the speed with which this came together. Jamie Serino from Take Stock started public comment tonight. And this, I believe, is especially powerful for those kids that are in Take Stock, because we have a lot of Title I kids who are very high performing, and taking these dual enrollment classes away from their campuses was a serious detriment to those kids that don't have transportation. And this is a very powerful, we talk a lot about equity and on this board, and this for me, I'm as a board member, I'm proud of this. As a for our leadership, I'm proud of this. This really happened quickly. Having been a former grad student of education at USF Sarasota, I'm glad to hear that we're going to tie this in and bring these kids right back to the school district to be longtime employees. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Kennedy. Any further comments? I just say, this is a really, really big deal. This is really wonderful to our community. And I'm very grateful to all the efforts that were put in by Board Member Hopes and Superintendent Saunders and others. The benefits are just a multitude. And with every child that's going there, it's going to be benefit. And, we're moving the rock. And I get a little teary thinking about how good this is for us. So I think it's time to, if there's no further discussion and no more weeping, the chair is going to call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. It is approved unanimously, 5-0. Thank you. The next item on regular meeting agenda requests and workshop items. All right, board recognizes Board Member Kennedy.
Thank you. I have a request for an agenda item, and then obviously we'll need some backup information from superintendent and staff on this. Mr. Mr. Dye, is it proper, am I allowed to speak about a topic that came up in the shade now that that issue has been settled, the MEA contract?
No, that still stays confidential.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me reframe this. I would like to learn from the superintendent, what would be the financial impact of offering to our employees who can, through a test, prove their fluency in another language. The idea is, I would like for us to offer a bilingual bonus to our employees, wherever they may be, transportation, teaching staff, paras. If you are bilingual and you can pass the test to prove your abilities in a second language, that we offer a $1,500, $2,000. Now I'm getting into money, so Jim is starting to look at me funny. But what from the superintendent, what could that look like? And then I guess it would make sense to workshop that idea first.
Sure.
But it does go into pay and benefits, so I can already hear Jim in my ear about this. But
Okay. Well, okay, I think Mr. Kennedy's, request is for a workshop on concerning the ramifications of offering some kind of bonus, to employees who are bilingual. And the chair is looking for some, I do not know why that would be an improper, topic. I think there's preparation to, how many employees would be bilingual and qualify for, an extra bonus, be it $500 or $100 or $1,000 or what.
keep going.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I don't, and could come back with us and say, well, this is how much it would cost to take out of the pot and take away from other expenses. Other expenses would be other salaries for all other employees in that group. Okay?
Potentially.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ramifications whenever you take money to give to someone, you're taking it away from somebody else in the budget. That's how it works.
Sure.
And, but I don't know why it would be illegal, to have a workshop on it, but I'll defer to the board counsel.
Well, Mr. Chair, a couple of things. Well, first of all, Mr. Kennedy asked about the thing that came up in the shade meeting without specifying, and of course, my off-the-shelf response, if it was in the shade meeting, we need to keep it there. So without specifically knowing what issue he was talking about, that was that was behind my comment.
Right.
Now, if the board wants to explore a new program, I think where Mr. Kennedy is going is he'd like to give direction to the administration to try it out and see if there's support and see if there's wherewithal to make it work. And I think that step is okay for the board to go to and hand it over to the administration to see if it's feasible and how it fits in with the other things.
What would be ramifications and costs and stuff like that, and bring it back to, the board at some workshop for discussion and exploring. I think that's what Board Member Kennedy is getting at, and sometime in the near future. Okay. Any other suggestions or requests? Board Member Kennedy.
This is an easy one. I would like to request our workshop schedule. What do we have on the calendar so far? Very simple request, just a peek at the workshop calendar items, that's all. Doesn't have to be,
I don't know.
Doesn't have to be by
Can we ask
tomorrow morning,
staff
at
to
some
just
point.
kind of present that?
yeah, actually, I could go through Michelle.
I know I had made a request some time ago regarding our obligations of providing medical assistance in our athletic programs. And I don't think we've ever had a workshop on that. But I'd like to know what guidelines and what statutory regulations we have, some explanation, how we're complying or non-complying, and what we do to check up to see there is compliance, within the district. And I think it's sooner the better, I learn a little bit more about that as far as I'm concerned. But I think I made that request several weeks ago, so. I don't,
We have some of the items coming up. Board internal auditor and models for transitioning to an in-house internal auditor was one of the requests. There is plans for SBHC at School-Based Health Clinic at Southeast High School. Some of the other requests have been that are still waiting in the queue: construction, procurement, compliance, maintenance, and payments. Discussion of school board being a voter registration organization, after-school activities, transportation, substitute teacher shortages, energy audit, protocols for student-athlete injuries,
that was it.
textbook cycle, including dual enrollment.
Okay, I think those are a few workshops.
Quite a few of them,
keep it-
quite a few of them sitting in the
Okay, for
queue.
the next month, every day. Okay, can you, print out a list and send to all the board members and, put it on? They're all great topics, but there's limitations for staff and board time for addressing them. But it's part of educating the community, educating us board members to try to understand how best for this district to work. So, okay, Mr. Board Member Kennedy, do you have some further ideas you'd like to add to the list?
No, we're good.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, anybody else have some ideas? Okay, so we'll go past request. I don't have any further requests of the board except, so I think we go to Legal Department update with Mr. Dye.
No, none tonight, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Instructional update from Superintendent Saunders.
Yes, one of the things I wanted to make you aware was the district SAC chair meeting Wednesday at 6 p.m. at MTC. I know a number of you have attended before, but Craig will be conducting that tomorrow, so just wanted to remind you.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent Saunders. Operations update, Mr. Wagner.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, thank you. So I've got 5 things. The new electrical work is being done in the School Support Center for the data center. If you remember, it was our aged UPS, the inoperative power supply that went bad before, and that's why we had to relocate our board meeting to another location. So that's the electrical works for that has been done, and we're looking forward to installing the new UPS system. Number 2, WebNet. So WebNet is our single sign-on for our district. If you work in the district, you've experienced some frustrations on that. What's happening is our software system is upgraded, and which allows for the virtual servers to be moved from service to service to better balance the load on the demands on the server for the users. So WebNet decided it needed to be reconfigured. It's taken us a couple days to find how it reacts to the new environment, and the new WebNet will be implemented on Friday. So we appreciate everybody's patience with this. We do push out the IT alerts, which has the links to most of the programs within the WebNet, but not all. So we own it, we're working on it, and we're going to get it fixed. So we appreciate everyone's patience with that. Number 3, school choice. Remind everyone that the middle school choice ends Friday, the 15th, and then elementary will open March 4th through the 15th. High school is already closed. And number 4, food service. They had their 9th annual Play with Your Fruits and Vegetables. I want to thank those 17 elementary schools teams that participated. It was on February 1st. And, our food service works really hard. It's not just in this particular event, but all year long. It's interesting to note that we serve approximately 6.3 million lunches a year. If you can imagine that, 6.3 million lunches a year, just here in Manatee County, to our students, an additional 3 million breakfasts. That's 9.3 million meals a year pushed out from our food service team. They work hard all year long, so we want to recognize them. This is just a few examples of the operations team working hard to support our schools. And I want to also congratulate Ms. Saunders, our new superintendent permanent. I think it was a great decision. We have great leadership, and we have a great school district, so congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Superintendent Saunders, do you have some remarks you'd like to share with you?
I do have one or two, sir.
Okay, thank you.
First of all, I really want to thank Pat Barber and the MEA, her whole group that so diligently worked with us, Dr. Vogel as well, to get a ratification of the contract. It is nice when we do see occasionally we beat Sarasota in something. And, you know, we couldn't do it with such great partners with the union. And, you know, she'll probably agree that we always are not on the same in agreements or terms of certain situations. However, we have been good partners in the last number of years that we've worked together. And she really does a tremendous job for the district. And I'm just pleased that we were able to bring this forth. And we're hoping that sometime in the near future, all the employees will see their raises and their paychecks. So we'll be working closely with her on that. Not given the date today, but we will be working on that. In regards to what, you know, we all are aware of occurrences this week, we will be joining other districts in the state of Florida to have a moment of silence in just out of respect to the victims of the tragedy of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. So on February 14th, the superintendent has asked that we all join them in a moment of silence at 10:17. So we have communicated that. We are doing that in support of that tragedy occurrence. So I just wanted to make everybody mindful of that. And I will comment about my contract. I took this job on an interim basis with every intention on leaving at the end of January. That remained my position until recently, when the board and members of my staff encouraged me to stay. That encouragement, plus the unfinished business of cleaning up the ERP, the continued academic achievement of the district, along with the support of our community, has convinced me to stay. Therefore, I gladly and proudly accept the offer to be your permanent superintendent. It is my hope now that the school board and staff who encouraged me will remain my steadfast partners on our quest to bring a sense of stability and continuity to the school district. That is what has been missing from our district for a while. It will take all of us working together without distraction to reach this goal. I greatly appreciate the support of our board. I plan to quickly fill vacancies that have been left open due to my interim status and to meet the challenge of opening the 3 new schools. What we need now is stability in our leadership, a team approach to solving problems, and a clear vision of where we are going. At the same time, I want the community to know about our successes and the incredible job that our teachers and staff are doing with our students each and every day. We will tell our story with transparency, with efficacy, so people will join in our journey to grow, to learn, and achieve. Thank you.
Great. Okay, board comments. Board Member Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for your endurance. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to those who endure. So I thank you for enduring to this point. That's the good news. The bad news is that now we have to live up to the expectations of those people who support our decision tonight. And we have to give no quarter to those who don't think that we made the right decision tonight. To that end, the one thing that I wonder, what is our policy what is the way we do public relations, because I'm not quite so sure that the only image that the world has of the Manatee County School District is that of an armed, long rifle soldier who was in the infantry. Now, I know, well, they don't work, they're the charter school. That, to the person reading that in Boise, Idaho, that's the Manatee, that's those people down there in Florida. How do we, is there something that we do just as we go along? Because that's not the first negative thing that I've seen that has nothing to do with the real district. Is that public relations, or is that communications? How does that work? And I would like for us to have a response. No response is the worst response. So how do I do that, Mr. Chair? How do we make sure that as a board going forward, that we respond proactively and not just constantly let people hit you in the face and tell you it's all right?
Okay, thank you. I think he's, proposing that at some point soon we have a workshop on public relations imaging.
Yeah,
Okay. I
that's
think
the-
everybody, how we might better, promote a positive image, of the school district, and I would support that myself, so. Okay, the next person is Board Member Hopes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, we have again done the people's work. We have worked through our differences, our issues, and the board has approved Superintendent Saunders to serve as our superintendent for a number of years. I ask the public to respect the work that your board has done. I ask you to rally behind the district and behind our superintendent, provide support to all of our educators and employees of the district, and work with us in a positive fashion to move our district forward. We have so much opportunity. We have an incredible infrastructure. We have exceptional employees and educators and school administrators and leaders. We are in this together. But let's not lose sight of why we are in existence. We are in existence so that every child in Manatee County is afforded the public education that I received in Florida that brought me to this point. All of these 50,000 children deserve the best that we can deliver. That's why we're here. That is why we're here. And every day, not only the public, not just the school district, our entire community should be able to answer, what are we doing today? What are we saying today that will improve the lives of our citizens through an exceptional education? Because it is through the work of the school board, the work of the school district, the work of our retired educators and leaders that will change families in Manatee County for generations to come. It will come because of the education that we deliver in our classrooms every day. There is only one sustainable way out of poverty, and that's education. And that's why we're here. And I ask you, let's put behind us the past. Let's look with a strong vision for the future, and let's make the school district of Manatee County exceptional and #1 in the state that we can all be proud of. Thank you, and thank you for the work this board has done today.
Thank you, Board Member Hopes. Board Member Kennedy.
Thank you very much. I am looking for an email because I didn't really have much. We covered quite a bit today. I don't want to let this moment pass with, and maybe somebody else is about to do it, so I apologize, but this meeting cannot pass without a recognition of Dr. Brashaw, who passed away since we last met. I just wanted to mention him, mention his name. I never knew him personally, but people who have been in this district a long time speak very highly of him, and I wanted to take a moment to say his name and to put him on people's minds, and his family who survives him. Excuse me, turning points. I'm looking for Margie's. Give me 1 second, Mr. Chair. I thought I had it. This is going to be Saturday morning at PAL, and sorry, it's Junior League of Manatee County is supporting an event. It's from 9 to noon this Saturday at PAL, 202 13th Avenue East. We all know where PAL is. And it's basically just to get kids out, fitness, education. The women of Junior League are putting that on for our kind of central Bradenton youth. And so Margie made me aware of it. I will not be there because I will be out of town this weekend, but I wanted to make sure that if you weren't already, maybe just swing by and support Junior League and support our kids. And I think everything else I had on my list we have covered. I do want to mention real fast, you have heard me talk before about community partnerships goals, which is started at UCF. Just as a reminder, this is a collaboration of a university, a school district, a medical provider, and a nonprofit. And I was kind of out there as a side hobby, gathering information, working on some things. You guys have heard me talk about it before. Lo and behold, I find out that people inside the school district and the superintendent are already working on it. So I was happy to learn this week that that the effort is already there. The professor from UCF who oversees the program out of Orlando will be here next Tuesday, and so that's really exciting. And that's again for our as Dr. Hopes teed up this time. The way you lift yourself out of poverty is to get an education. And with that, anything is possible. So I'm really excited about it. Again, I want to thank the superintendent for her efforts on that. I didn't even know it was going on, but I was. It was like this moment, like, oh my God, everything's coming together, and this is really exciting. So I'm looking forward to hearing what comes out of that meeting and advancing that effort. So that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Kennedy. Vice Chair Messenger.
I always like to hear good things about UCF while we're sitting up here. I don't have much to say other than thank everyone for showing up yesterday at Palmetto, and I know that when the budget cycle comes up and we start talking about the 5-year capital plan, security is always going to be number one to us, but we also have to focus on making sure that our schools are unique and competitive, and we can do that by focusing on what makes each school that way, and we can use our capital dollars to do that. And also with that, I want to congratulate Mrs. Saunders and say that I will happily support you, and that is it. And I think the board did a wonderful job tonight, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Messenger. Ooh. What we've heard tonight is the board coming together, this district coming together, the community coming together. Great accomplishments. Just amazing stuff, and where we're going, how we've progressed. And what we have done, and the things that Board Member Kennedy was talking about, and all of you, we're the instrument, the biggest instrument that exists in this community for making this community better. It's not just helping raise people out of poverty, it's improving the quality of the community of life, of the respect that others have for each other. We are the instrument for doing that. Our involvement with other activities, we have a lot of great partners, through the chamber, through the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance, all of those working with us, Kiwanis clubs. I think that we're very fortunate to live. This is a great place to live, Manatee County, and the partnerships. What you may have read in the paper that Garth Brooks is in town and working with the Pirates, which is a great part of our community. The Pirates organization, I think, is the best in baseball in terms of being involved with the community and promoting good things. It's been very good for our school district. And I just wanted to kind of show something here. Now, I don't think many of you are familiar with my baseball career, but this is my Harvey Keene outfield glove. And this is my glove, from Ozzie Smith. And actually in church camp, I was all-star major league, catcher and stuff. And this is just prologue for inviting everybody to help this district on the 20th. I'm going to be, go to the Pirates game, and they're having a spring training thing, and I'll be out trying to catch balls and maybe having someone help me, throw them in and showing off my Harvey Keene and Ozzie Smith, gloves. How many people here actually have heard of Harvey Keene and Ozzie Smith? Not a lot of hands. Okay. Yeah, Chuck. I'm not going into all the bio. I was a real fiend or friend. Harvey Keene started with the Tigers. He was traded to Cleveland for the Indians, for Rocky Colavito. You don't care about this stuff, but and then he was a manager in Milwaukee. I loved baseball. I love the Pirates, and so that's the 20th. If you want to see somebody who's really embarrassing himself over here at Lecom Field, please come, pay some money. They help support us. We'll support them. With that said, in an invitation to an embarrassment, the chair is going to close this meeting. Thank everybody for coming. Thank this board. This is very thorough business, and we got some great business done tonight. This meeting is adjourned.